Next on Saratoga Live, last year's favorite returns in today's feature with unfinished business. After a narrow defeat in the final strides, will second time be Finley Lucky Charms' time in the honorable miss. Saratoga's been good to Kirby's Penny. She tries to make it 3 for 3 at the spot, enters the honorable miss off a career best effort in her first graded stakes win. Well, the latest on Triple Crown winner Justify, and a new career ahead for horse racing's 13th Triple Crown winner. And today, Saratoga pays tribute to the nation's service members and veterans. With Military Appreciation Day, we'll show you how horses are helping our heroic veterans who suffer from PTSD through a unique project. All that and much more coming up on this Wednesday edition of Saratoga Live. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Veterans, they get in for free this afternoon. It is all about our heroes that have served and continue to serve to protect our country. So we pay tribute to them all afternoon long here at Saratoga Springs, New York, as we get set for our first official full week of racing here at the spot. Our feature race, the Grade 2 Honorable Miss. Greg Wolf and track announcer at Monmouth Park. You have the Haskell coming up this weekend. We'll talk about that later in the show. Calls here in the Naira circuit as well. Frank Miramati. Our feature today, Finley's Lucky Charm, ran too good to lose in this race last year.
And she drew the outside just as she does today. It was a 5-horse field last year. Brian Hernandez did everything right. He didn't push her too hard. She took a lot of late money to go off as the favorite in there. And in the final stages, Paula Silverlining was simply a little bit better than her and caught her. She comes into this race off a nice freshening for Brett Calhoun, and she'll be double tough today.
All right, that goes as race 9 on today's card. Wide open race, but she's going to be awfully tough in there if she runs her A game. Weather and track conditions, they're presented by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track good, turf condition good as well. For today's action, you can get signed up, started, and play all the races that we bring you on Saratoga Live. Earn a $200 new member bonus with a Naira Bets account. Enter that promo code Saratoga Live and sign up. Bet right from home or with the Naira Bets app. All members can qualify for a $100 Travers Day bet. Go to NairaBets.com for details. Meet the rest of our crew. Head downstairs to the paddock. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and former New York Met and LA Dodger Paul Duca. Hi, guys.
I'm just relieved I don't have to be with that Miramati guy anymore. I got to tell you, after Mama Mary, I just had enough after that.
Wow.
So I'm here with you, Paul.
Taking a shot already. How you doing?
I can't help myself. I'm doing well. Glad to have you here.
You're looking good in blue.
Thank you. Got a lot of blue going on today. Nice stake today. It really is a good one, the Honorable Miss, and I'm glad because I was a big fan of Honorable Miss, who actually ran over 40 years ago. Finley's Lucky Charm is the horse to beat.
Yes.
Wesley Ward's Kirby's Penny really came to life in a stake that held together the vagrancy last time. And I think the question is, Wesley Ward, as good a trainer as he is, his record in New York over the last month or so, it was great when she won the vagrancy. Been a little chilly. Does that worry you at all?
Yeah, I think it does worry me a tiny bit. You know, when you have a filly or a mare of this type of quality, now she's 7 for 12 lifetime, and she's really done nothing wrong. She's 2 for 2 at Saratoga, so there's a lot of things going in her favor. Now, the trainer's in a little bit of slump, but sometimes the horse can take you out of that slump, and she's very, very talented. And she can do it from both ways, Andy. She can rate a little bit, or she can go to the front end. She'll probably have to rate in this spot.
And something tells me that Wesley Ward probably won't go 0 for Saratoga.
I'm with you on
Too
that.
good a trainer for that. There's a horse in this race, Vertical Oak, that's connections. Wished the rain had come. It didn't come. The question, Maggie, is whether or not the rain has dissuaded you at all, or the lack of rain, from taking Vertical Oak.
Absolutely, Andy. I listened to the weather reports, and luckily they can be wrong more than we can here as far as handicappers. It has not rained much at all, so we are seeing a good harrowed track, which doesn't bode well for Vertical Oak, as her best race to date came in the Prioress last year at Saratoga when it was sloppy sealed and very wet. But it does bode well for Finley's Lucky Charm. She doesn't mind a good track, but when it's sealed and really kind of wet, she didn't seem to handle it that well in the Humana Distaff in her last race down at Churchill Downs. But as Frank pointed out, she's drawn to the outside here today, which helps her chances immensely here. So an interesting matchup with these very good sprinting fillies. And as always, Greg, this is a prep for the Ballerina on Travers Day.
Maggie, thank you. We look forward to it. It's going to be a good feature this afternoon. Let's take a look at the races we have coming up. We have the late pick 4 for you. Begins in race 7, 1 mile over the inner turf, 50,000 starter allowance coming up. Race 8 on the turf as well. New York breds, an allowance optional 40 race at 1 mile and a 16th. Then our feature, the Grade 2 Honorable Miss, will close things out on the inner turf 40,000 maiden claiming event at 1 mile and a 16th. That is our card. That comprises the late pick 4 sequence. Frank, as we take a look at the field here in the current odds for this 7th race, right now Hollywood Cat off the claim for Jason Service. He had an outstanding Belmont. It's carried over here into Saratoga.
We've seen this movie before, Greg. A horse in good form, claimed and put in the perfect spot here. She's going to be tough. She has a familiar rival or two in here to meet once again. And when she did meet English Dancer beat her fair and square and was pulling away, but now she joins the powerful barn, and she's the deserving favorite, but I think this is an extremely competitive race, and there are some interesting possibilities.
There she is. She is 5-2 on the board, but as Frank mentioned, English Dancer, the one, did beat her when they met 2 starts back. Let's take a look at Hollywood Cat in action back on May the 31st in a victory.
In this particular race, she was waiting for room, found the seam, and then she makes a very bold move between rivals, goes there, and then she's going to get tackled from Pure Michigan, who was traveling beautifully throughout. It would have seemed she would mow her down, but Hollywood Cat was just too tough. Look at her dig in the whole way.
My only concern here, and this was a game effort, that horse that she held off, it's a horse coming off a 14-month layoff.
For a good barn, however, and a barn that fired, and the money came to her that day, she was the 5-2 favorite.
Paula Duca is going to put together a pick 4 ticket for us. Paulie, what'd you come up with?
Well, you guys previewing Hollywood Cat, you have to use her. I thought that was a good win, and Jason Service only 42% off the claim, so he's okay. The other part about this, too, is Hollywood Cat's been beaten by the inside horse. English Dancer was one of the few in here that it wouldn't matter if it rained or not. You had to use her, and she might be still the one to beat. 4 and 8 in race number 8. Mo Diddley, and I'll go with Morrison. I'm going to go with the 2 3-year-olds against all the oldsters in there. 2 youngsters against a bunch of old-timers in there. 1, 3, 5, 6. I had to use Vertical Oak because I really didn't know if the rain's going to come or not. I do think Finley's Lucky Charm is the one to beat. And then race number 10, very tough, 2, 5, 7, and 11. I do think Spring on Curlin might finally get it done in his 16th career start.
When's the last time nobody's been talking about a Bob Baffert runner in a stakes race when he comes to New York? No one's mentioned Fabian. We shall see. That horse getting back to the dirt. We have plenty of time to talk about that feature, but in one of the intriguing storylines of our feature race coming up this afternoon. Every day of the Saratoga meet, use the NyraBets app to place a $1 base trifecta bet on a selected stakes and earn a 10% winner's bonus. Today's race is our feature, the Honorable Miss Stakes. So head to NyraBets, download the app, and get your wager in. We're going to take a break in the action. The late pick 4 coming up next. English Dancer. She's won 2 in a row. The last time she was on the turf, she beat Hollywood Cat in Quest Deck on the square. Can she do it again? We will find out when we come back.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including 2017 Eclipse champion 3-year-old West Coast. A dominant winner of the Grade 1 Travers and Pennsylvania Derby, West Coast also placed in the Breeders' Cup Classic and was runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. In the sales ring, juveniles by Flatter brought up to $600,000, and his yearlings sold up to $460,000. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with NyraBets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or NyraBets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time. to Belmont, adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, Gabby, what's up?
Just hanging out.
All right, cool.
Enjoying the view.
Well, you're
Back on Saratoga Live on Military Appreciation Day. Now we're paying tribute to the nation's service members and veterans with free grandstand admission for all. Military members and veterans, performers from the USO Troop and local a cappella group Racing City Course performing throughout the day and at the Coca-Cola Pavilion. The event coinciding with National Hire a Veteran Day, spreading awareness and creating a platform where employers and veterans can network together. We appreciate all that they do so we can have the freedoms that we have, including seeing terrific races like we have here at Saratoga each and every day of this meet. Race 7, kicking off this late pick 4 sequence as we begin a new week, a first full week of racing here at the Saratoga meeting. Coming up, 1 mile here on the inner turf, 50,000 starter allowance ahead, and it's time for a paddock report. So that means we're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Halendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000. Maggie?
Thanks, Greg. And we'll check in with the inside runner here. That is number 1, English Dancer, getting back on the turf, her preferred surface. And she's shown the ability to have some speed in the past. And I'm hoping that's a game plan here once again. As of these horses, she was the one that came in bouncing on her toes. She looks fantastic as well, physically overall. Just extremely well conditioned here by Bill Mott. And hopefully they use their post position to their advantage. As we'll take a look at your current favorite, number 6, Hollywood Cat, going out for Jason Service. Look, I've never been her biggest fan. She's just not my type of horse. She's a bit of a slighter build, but the thing is she runs, and so for that, I respect her. And I will say that her coat's finally coming around now that's kind of the middle of the summer here. She's got some more dapples to her. She looks a little more hydrated overall. So look, she makes sense for these connections taking over training in Jason Service, but still, I would like to maybe find a little more of a price, and maybe we do take a look at the outside runner who's also going first off the claim in number 11, Codrington. Dave Donk did an excellent job with her, and he's very dangerous as well. But Mike Maker, when he claims these horses, sometimes, well, we see them getting to the winner's circle at decent prices. Now, Codrington, as they are saddling her, has gotten a little wound up, which I can't say is typical of her as we're trying to put the blinkers on here. But she's one that I've noticed, at least in her brief career so far, she seems to thrive on racing. The more she gets to run, the better she is. And that's kind of why Dave Donk had run her back on short rest after her last 2 starts. So she makes sense here. We'll see how that post affects her, though. She's on the way outside here.
Talk about Sweet Connie.
Yep, drawn all the way to the outside there. Thank you, Maggie. Codrington, 3-year-old filly who has never been off the board here in 3 starts at Saratoga.
I like her. After that $32,000 claiming victory in the middle of June, she came back 8 days later for 50, and Michael Maker decided to take her. I think that's a very positive sign. And despite the fact that she's been chilly on the board early, I have to believe some money will show up. She'll be tough.
7-1 right now on Codrington. As you see, 232,000 plus and growing in that pick 4 pool. Still plenty of time to get involved as we're approaching the 10-minute mark to post. Co-favorite right now on the board, English Dancer, the one we talked about English dancer beating Hollywood Cat back on May the 6th and came back to win in a race that was taken off the turf as well.
She won for fun back-to-back races. I think the positive here is that she was clearly overmatched earlier when she was in those tougher allowance races. Sometimes when a horse is able to finally find their form, as she was able to do on that drop, then they can repeat it. Now, granted, last time it was a 3-horse field and she just had a stroll in the park at 1 to 5 odds. This is a tougher task for her, but she looks well, as Maggie mentioned, and she's got that early pace, and I have to believe that early pace is going to be good on this course.
There she is, drawn inside. John Velasquez aboard for each of those victories. The last 2 tries, he will be back on board this afternoon. Turf course with a little bit of give in it. You don't get a lot of gauge on a lot of these runners and how they've run on courses with some rain in it, and no 2 really soggy courses are alike either, so tough to read here.
Right. A couple of days ago in the Caress, we had horses that were very close to the front dominating, and today we had our steeplechase on the front end, but then we had a closer later. It's very fair.
Chad Brown always dangerous whenever he is in a race, especially here at Saratoga, especially on the turf. This 5, Sweet Connie Girl, comes out of his barn with more on this filly. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Greg. And I really do think that this is a competitive field and many ways to go here. But my eye keeps being attracted back to the number 5, Sweet Connie Girl, because not only is it Chad Brown on the turf here at Saratoga, you're probably going to get a decent price. She could be a little overlooked. And she really did come out of, I wouldn't say a troubled trip, but definitely not an unencumbered trip. She was down on the inside and she had to stifle her run several times coming down the stretch. And I thought it just compromised her. She is going to have to improve off of her performances just in general. But Greg, kind of looks like she is taking that big improvement in her 4-year-old season.
Thanks, Gabby. So 7-2 on Sweet Connie Girl, and she has the hottest rider on the grounds right now, Javier Castellano, opening 4 days of the meeting with 8 victories to lead everybody.
We're always expecting that from Javier, but at this meet in particular, it's extremely important to get off to a good start because you start booking future business. But Javier, for him, it's a given anyway. It's always nice to get that beautiful start.
And Sweet Connie Girl, as we look at the 1 right here, but the 5, Gabby mentioned that trouble that she had, but had that inside trip, and a lot of times in turf racing, when you do save ground and go inside, that's going to happen.
It's a little risky, but it was an encouraging effort, particularly since it was her first start against winners. That's always a very difficult class hike, and she was able to handle it okay. She was willing at the end, as the Daily Racing Form chart callers noted appropriately, so she's got a shot.
Anything out of this barn, guys, for Chad Brown usually has a shot, especially here on the turf at Saratoga.
Brown's horses, they're always a point or 2 lower than they should be because of how well Chad does, and it's understandable. But, you know, Paul, and I agree with Gabby that Sweet Connie Girl had some traffic in the stretch last time, and you could argue with a horse like Lion Weight, those were pretty good horses. She still needs to take another step forward.
Yeah, she does, a tiny bit. I'll agree with you on that. You know, she really grew up as a 4-year-old and got a lot better. I mean, that race came out of nowhere. I know she won a 2.5 to 1, but she beat a weak field. I thought her last effort was leap and bounds and leaps better. So, but it's been off since mid to 25th now. She's probably grown a little bit more. She might have got a little bit better now.
Well, here's the thing, what you're saying, and I agree with you. You can't judge this horse by her entire career.
No.
And, you know, you don't want to, in life, as a handicapper, just dismiss bad efforts. But when you look at a horse like her, you say it didn't really matter what she did in her first 4 career starts because that's clearly not the horse she is now, as you were alluding to. She was much better when she broke her maiden, and I think she improved last time. So it's not unreasonable she can take another step forward. And I agree with you using her in your pick 4 as you did. But I still think this is a tough spot. Any race where you've got to deal with Jason Service off the claim on the turf, it's a tough spot.
It really is a tough spot. Hollywood Cat's going to be tough to deal with. And then you got Hope's Roar on the outside, who's a mare that seems like she never runs a bad race.
I agree, and I thought she ran very well last time because the pace held together. The horse who beat her, Transaction Tax, well, we saw her on Sunday on our show against much tougher horses, a race won by a Chad Brown runner for owner Peter Brandt, and she held well for third, sitting a super fast pace. The problem is she always seems to be compromised in her races.
That is true. She always puts herself... It's weird how you say that. She has tactical speed, yet she compromises herself. She causes her own trouble sometimes. She's weird that way. But I think being fresh and now going the mile here, she's going to be positioned pretty well second off the layoff. And right now you're getting your right price at 5-1.
I think you'll agree with me if you get eliminated from your pick 6 where you use the 1, 5, and 6. She's the one who's going to eliminate you.
Yes, 100%.
No, I agree. She's the other horse in here. And I think, Greg, this is the kind of race where you have to look at all the options. I don't think you would want to just assume that Jason Service is going to win.
Well, if you usually assume that Jason Service is going to win, you've been doing pretty good for the last month and a half or so. But yeah, he can't win them all. We'll see what happens here. Call to post behind us. And we're going to see our post parade here coming up in just a moment. That 4-horse, I thought a little intriguing in here. Coming in from Churchill, been at the fairgrounds, won back-to-back starts on the turf there.
And now she's back where she belongs on that course. She's got some early speed as well, so she can be up close. But this is the target right here.
Here is English Dancer, 2015 Fasig-Tipton July sale graduate for Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
2 back on the turf. Her last turf start was a win, and she beat Hollywood Cat fair and square that day, even though Hollywood Cat's changed barns since.
Aikenetta, here she is. We were just talking about her. 12-1. Manny Franco aboard for Bruce Brown.
Yeah, first time in the Bruce Brown barn. A daughter of Aikenite, who's a closing sprinter, but she seems like she's a better turf horse.
The Chad Brown filly we had mentioned. Javier Castellano in the irons.
Beware of an improving horse in a barn of a very tough trainer.
Hollywood Cat, Jason Service off the claim. Irad Ortiz Jr. rides.
Yeah, for Michael Dubb. It's such a dangerous horse. Has had 2 starts here at Saratoga, 1 third-place finish.
Hope's Roar is the 8 on the board at 4-1. Luis Saez rides for Jorge Abreu.
Really talking earlier how this horse really does never really throw in a clunker. 1 clunker, 3 back, but usually always right there.
Quest Tech, big price. It's Jose Lizcano for John Toscano Jr.
Her 1 for 21 record with 7 seconds and thirds says it all. She runs well frequently, but she does not seal the deal.
Claire's Kitty, the 10, we'll see next here in a minute. Another horse on the board at 24-1. And here's the daughter of Ghost Apper with Paco Lopez.
She's interesting. Phil Bauer put her on the turf the first start of her career. She broke her maiden on the dirt. Now she's going to go back on the turf at a big price.
And look out, another 3-year-old filly who could be on the improve here off the claim from Mike Maker, Codrington.
No more dangerous trainer off the claim on the turf than Mike Maker. She would have to improve in this spot, but we've seen Mike Maker do it before.
I want to remind everyone to get involved. You can do so without risking any of your own money. Play all the races we bring you here on the show at the Saratoga Showdown online contest. Go to NYRA.com/Showdown to get involved. Enter your selections. I believe an exacta box today. I entered myself, and you're playing for real prizes, although I may be exempt from the prizes. Here is English Dancer trying to reel off 3 consecutive wins. For more, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thank you, Greg. And please be joined by Hall of Famer Bill Mott. As you said, he'll be sending out English Dancer and trying to make it 3 in a row here, Bill. She won on the off track last time. But is this the kind of matter of this filly really getting her confidence up? She sure showed it in the paddock.
Yeah, we got her down to a level where she could win, and it seemed like that really helped her. And I believe confidence is a big factor with a lot of these horses. I think I think it does matter. And with her, she's doing right, very well right now.
Do you give her that confidence and put her on the front end here with Johnny V?
No, I don't know. I think there's some other speed. I don't think filly needs to be on the front end. I do have a little question mark about the condition of the turf. I mean, I think the turf is in great shape, but it's probably got a little give in it, and that could be the difference for her. I mean, I think she has a little bit of an affinity for the firmer turf. However, we hope it's not beyond that point where she can't handle it, and I think it should be, my guess is that it should be okay for her.
Well, looking forward to this Friday as you will send out Hofberg in the Curlin. We haven't seen him since his 3rd place effort going back to the Belmont here. And he schooled here today in the paddock. And how is he doing? What can we expect?
Doing well. I mean, he went into his last 3 races really well. I was happy with the Derby, the way he went into the Belmont. I thought he ran a good race in the Belmont, and he seems to have he came out of those races good. Even though they were tough races, it doesn't seem like it set him back any. Sometimes you can kind of hurt their feelings a little bit when you run them against those kind of horses, but he seems to be a very durable horse with, a good constitution, and he's trained well since then. I mean, he's been moving well, eating well. He's doing all the things that you like to see him do, and now we just have to see him get out there on the racetrack and be good enough to beat the field that he's in with.
Well, Bill, that is great news. Looking forward to seeing him, and best of luck here with English Dancer.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys.
Maggie, thank you. Yeah, Hofberg back in action this Friday in the Curlin, coming off that third-place performance in the Belmont, where he was sort of the wise guy horse that day.
He ran well. It was just the only reason he wasn't second is because Gronkowski surprised a lot of people with a tremendous run. But Hofberg, in a very short period of time, has established himself as a top 3-year-old. I was surprised to see him enter here in the Curlin, but I understand what they're doing.
Meanwhile, back to the first leg of our pick 4. Look at Jason's service. We talk about these numbers. First off a claim on the turf over the last 5 years. That is ridiculous. 47% win percentage.
He's bred to be a trainer. It's in the family, and he's doing a fantastic job. And when you claim one for Michael Dubb and run him at Saratoga, they're going to be in a live spot. And there is a look at this 4-year-old filly looking for her 3rd career victory. To me, you can't have all the Jason Service run. They're not all going to win. Half of them lose, right? This is one that I can't take it. If you're going to take, this is about the end for the price. This horse should not be any lower than 2-1, which is the morning line set by David Aragona.
Well, that May 31st race, when she had that duel with Pure Michigan, the horse who would wind up running 3rd, and there actually came back to win in open entry-level allowance company at Monmouth, and she aired that day. She won by 3.5 lengths to flatter Hollywood Cat's form a little more.
And the 7th place finisher out of that same race aired him out over at Finger Lakes, earning a 66 buyer in the process.
The intriguing question here. So Bill Mott says with English Dancer the plan is not to go to the lead, even though they have that good inside post. So who does go to the front in here?
Well, I think his big concern over there is the give in the course right now. There's a look at number 4, Acanetta, who has shown the ability to get out and up close to the pace early on. I really believe the one is going to the front myself, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some speed from Claire's Kitty either, number 10.
So 3-1 right now on English Dancer. Bill Mott, John Velasquez, as we see a few others stepping into the gate. But there's Johnny V, the Hall of Famer, the all-time leading rider here at Saratoga. What will he do from that inside post position? It is the start of the late pick 4 sequence, closing in on $500,000 here in the pool as Velasquez has to hop off. English Dancer a little bit unsettled right there.
It's never anything you want to see if you're taking a price of 5-2, that's for sure.
And it looks like she has calmed down. Rest of the field moves in. There is Jason Service's Hollywood Cat, the 6th, stepping in as well. Let's send it upstairs for the start of this late pick 4. Here's the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
John Velasquez getting back aboard English Dancer here as the last horse steps up, Codrington. And they're all in line, and we're ready for a start. They're off. And even beginning here as Acanetta goes out to lead them early. On the inside, English Dancer with some early speed too. Hope's Roar is out 3rd outside of Hollywood Cat. And then it's Sweet Connie Girl who hugs the hedge and runs along in 5th position into that turn. Break of another 2 back to Codrington. And then it's back to Claire's Kitty, who's saving all the ground ahead of Questec. And Questec is 7 lengths off of Acanetta, who leads them along onto the backstretch. Acanetta and Manny Franco out there by 1.5 lengths over English Dancer through a 24.14 initial quarter mile. Hollywood Cat is racing on the outside of Sweet Connie Girl up the backstretch. 3.5 lengths off the lead just ahead of Hope's Roar, who's got 2 on Codrington, and Claire's Kitty, who's down on the inside. Questec continues to race at the back with 9 lengths to make up, continuing their run up the backstretch. Acanetta has run 48 flat for the first half mile, leads it by almost 2 to English Dancer, racing for the far turn. Sweet Connie Girl, Hollywood Cat, and Hope's Roar lined up right behind them. And then it's Codrington. Questec is out of last. Claire's Kitty is now the trailer, and Acanetta is going to try to take him the distance here. Rounding the far turn with a length lead. English Dancer, Hollywood Cat, and Hope's Roar in hot pursuit. And Sweet Connie Girl cuts the corner in 4th. Codrington and Questec, and they're into the stretch. Acanetta still there with a furlong to run. English Dancer confronts her though, and Hollywood Cat's coming too. English Dancer grabs the front. Hollywood Cat, Questec finishing fast on the outside. Acanetta tries to battle on down toward the inside, but it's English Dancer. English Dancer, Questec, second best. English Dancer, 3/4 of a length on the wire. Questec was 2nd, Sweet Connie Girl 3rd, Hollywood Cat 4th in 1:37.73.
No, good call on the pace, Frank. It was Akineta who got to the front in here. Johnny V, patient in the end. English Dancer the win for that man. Hall of Famer Bill Mott, and this filly has now won 3 in a row for him.
It was a blessing for her to have Akineta in this race because Akineta became the target, as is almost always the case. John Velasquez with a perfect ride, put her in the right spot, pounced inside the final eighth of a mile and held off the rest. 1.956, denying a huge price at odds of 44 to 1. Questec for John Toscano Jr. rallying strongly to complete this exacta.
I agree with Frank about the target before going, and it just made it easy because as the 4 created that separation, Paul, it made it easy for John Velasquez to stalk. But let's also be clear about something else. Hollywood Cat, the 3-2 favorite off the Claim for J Service, a total no-show, a perfect trip and perfect spot. And once that happened, Hollywood Cat's just the best horse in the race.
Yeah, Hollywood Cat. You're right. You make a good point
English
there.
Dancer's the best horse
English Dancer, yeah, it was just the best horse because Hollywood Cat and Sweet Connie Girl, I thought both had good trips. Sweet Connie Girl, you could say maybe got shuffled back a little bit, but English Dancer was able just to pull away. And you can see Johnny V was ready to pull out his left-handed stick, and he waited really late. But I'm with you. Questec flew on late there. A pretty good second.
Well, Gabby's with the winning trainer.
Yes, here with Bill Mott. Thank you very much, Andy. Bill, how much did the presence of the 4 help in terms of a target in this race today?
Well, I mean, the good thing was that the 4 had enough speed to go ahead and clear us and get to the fence and allowed us to get to the outside and have a clear trip. So our filly relaxed well in second, even though she, didn't have, she had a lot of daylight in front of her, but she waited for Johnny to ask her, and she gave it her all when she turned for home.
That she did. Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, this filly just continues to improve race after race.
Making the Hall of Famer work overtime here. Talked to him before the race, after the race, but I'm sure he's happy about that because he has a filly in sharp form right now.
And in the last few weeks, closing out at Belmont and over here, the Bill Mott barn has really just been in a groove. And here's another one for them, racking up the W's. 4-year-old filly, just very, very nice performance here. Very comfortable through the stretch. She drew off.
English Dancer, make it 3 in a row for the daughter of English Channel, for that man, Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott.
And they're off at Saratoga.
Stay with us. We're going to meet the man whose voice you hear each and every day at Saratoga and along the Triple Crown as well. We'll meet Larry Colmus next.
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. He has won the Travers over American Flag. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Hey, Brian, you there? It's Greg Wolf. Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Hey, it's Greg Wolf and Frank Miramati here. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So I just want to make sure the mics sound okay and you can hear me okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great. So I think we're one segment. I don't know. Josh, when is this coming up? Okay, about 4 or 5 minutes, Brian.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on. Huh?
Sure.
No, this is Brian Beach. The canoe painted in the colors of the Travers winner, West Coast, last year's 3-year-old champion. Earned that right to get the canoe painted with that thrilling victory in that race last year. Meanwhile, back here in the 7th, English Dancer makes it 3 in a row for trainer Bill Mott. John Velasquez aboard for the victory, owned by Turf Stable Racing.
Daughter of English Channel out of that Boundary Mare, Your Flame in Me. That's her 4th career win. She's rattled off 3 in a row. It was over a year ago that she broke her maiden, so there was a drought, but she's starting to pay back her connections.
Let's take a look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along, 113,000 plus in this Wednesday pool. And here is how it has started. Come Dancing won that opening leg, $6.60, and now English Dancer, I believe, second choice on the board, $8.30.
And even though those are low prices, so to speak, they were both races where you had action on several runners. So not bad at all if you didn't even single those. As long as you're alive, you've got a chance for still a very good payoff.
How good are these Naira Bets late pick 5 pools? You see the winds blowing a little bit here on this Wednesday afternoon. Well, this is from Monday. The Naira Bets late pick 5 pool payout, $18,937. That was just adding, as we'll see the pick 4 pool here in a moment. Pick 4 paid $5,699 with $490,000 in the pool. Add an odds-on favorite in the first leg and a pool of under $100,000, and you get almost 4 times the payout.
There's no question that's the value play, because remember, the denomination is 50 cents as opposed to $2 when you're playing those pick 6s, and that's a big difference.
Time for what's trending. Everyone has been waiting to see where we would see Triple Crown winner Justify next. And unfortunately, this news came out today. He has been retired from racing. The 13th Triple Crown winner, just the second in the last 4 decades. He will not race again to do an ankle filling. He will retire, of course, undefeated. Just was not responding quick enough for a fall campaign to his connections' liking.
What a tremendous horse to be able to accomplish what he did in such a short period of time. And of course, as racing fans, we don't like this one bit, because we wanted to see him later this year. And in an ideal world, which has not been the case lately with all the breeding, we would have loved to see him for his next year's campaign. But what a phenomenal job by Bob Baffert and his team getting this horse to win the Triple Crown. It's beyond incredible.
His career began the 3rd week of February on the racetrack. Incredible. 6 wins in just 111 days to buck history. Become the first horse ever who had not raced as a 2-year-old to win not only the Kentucky Derby, but horse racing's Triple Crown, the 2nd undefeated horse ever to win the Triple Crown, and we will not forget him for a long, long time. An incredible achievement by that man there. Bob Baffert gets his 2nd Triple Crown in the last 3 years. Well, horse racing was holding their breath, hoping for good news. We heard about this on Sunday, I should say. This is Brian Beach, jockey agent for Victor Espinosa. Said he's feeling much better today. The nerves in his left arm and shoulder have calmed down a bit. He's much more comfortable. He's still experiencing numbness in his shoulder area and left arm. He will continue to remain in the hospital. Now, the Hall of Fame rider, who's a Triple Crown winner rider, of course, of American Pharoah. He was injured when his horse he was riding, Bobby Abu Dhabi, had an apparent heart attack in a morning workout at Del Mar. That was on Sunday morning. The horse collapsed. Espinosa thrown from his horse. He laid motionless on the track for several minutes before he was fitted with a neck brace and taken to the hospital. So that's a great update right there. But we're going to hear from Brian Beach right now, who joins us on the line. Brian, thank you for coming on Saratoga Live. We appreciate it. So the absolute latest with Victor Espinosa, how is he doing?
I just left his hospital room a couple minutes ago, actually, and he is in good spirits today and feeling pretty good. They're talking about maybe sending him home in the next day or so. It's either that or a rehab facility. They haven't exactly got the plan together, but he is walking fine, and he is moving all of his extremities, which is the most important part. We've got the feeling back in his left arm. That was the issue when they first brought him into the emergency room. And then today, like you just reported, the nerve issues that he was having in his left arm have subsided substantially. So, he is out of some pain and, resting comfortably.
What's the latest that you have heard from doctors in terms of what he's going to be able to recover to? Will he be able to get back to 100% of what he was?
Yeah, the last time that I spoke with his doctor, he felt like he was going to make a full recovery. It would just take time. They do have him fitted with a neck brace that he'll have to wear for the next 6 weeks at a minimum, and that basically is a precautionary thing, just so that he doesn't make sudden movements left or right with his head. And also, they want to make sure that when he's around other people, that they don't come up and slap him on the back, that kind of thing with the brace. So sort of when he gets past that mark, that's kind of when they'll have more idea as far as when he'd be back. But he's in such great shape. Very fit guy that that's all pluses on his side of the ledger that they feel really good about. And the fact that the feeling and the numbness, the feeling was coming back, the numbness is going away. That's all positives here in the first few days after the accident.
Oh, that's great news to hear. Victor is so special to the sport. I know everyone was kind of holding their breath, waiting to hear what happened with him. Did he have a chance to say any words to you, maybe to some of his fans about how he's doing or what he wanted to convey?
Yeah, he did. He said to tell everybody that he's very appreciative of all the kind words and messages he's been getting. He hasn't really been able to respond to any of them because his hands were sort of a little bit stiff, so he wasn't able to work his phone. But that stuff's all working out now, and he was texting on his phone when I was there today. So, but yeah, no, he appreciates all the outpouring of interest and good wishes that he's been receiving. Bob Baffert and Jill, his wife, they were up in his room last night, and a bunch of flowers been sent to the room from some trainers and owners, and so he's feeling good about things and is very appreciative of all the attention that he's getting.
Well, that's good news. We hope for a speedy recovery. Brian, thank you so much for coming on. Victor Espinosa is certainly one of the stars of our sport, so he will be on our thoughts and prayers for a very speedy recovery, and hope to see him back on a racetrack very, very soon. Obviously, this meet at Del Mar is out of the question for him. Race 8 coming up next. New York Breds in an allowance optional 40 race here. It is 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. Mo Diddley, the 3-year-old for Marcassi, on the improve. Right now the favorite.
9-5 the price. Last time out, he took the lead, but he got beat by a horse who was in real top form.
All right, we're going to go through the field. Paddock report, post-parade. When we come back, you're watching Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm.
This 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and horse of the year Up With the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Runner-up in the Grade 1 Manhattan and Shadwell Turf Mile, Ironicus ran 7 triple-digit buyers, including this score in the Fort Marcy Stakes. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by Distorted Humor. Ironicus at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
I knew I wanted to be a jockey whenever I followed my dad. Most of the time, it was just something that light up in my eyes, and, I just want to follow his footsteps and do just as good, if not better. Oh, he is so proud of me. Still to this day, he loved watching me ride, and he's still calling, give me a little good news and bad news every now and then whenever I mess up. Fishing. Every day I try to go fish. It's the best. It's relaxation from horse racing. I'm a bass fisherman. Oh yeah, I got me a female pit bull, and she's 9 months, and I have a coon walker hound, and she's like 5 years old. It's my sweetheart. Oh man, me and my wife, we love watching, what's the name of this show? The Dragons, Game of Thrones. Oh my gosh, it's so addicting. It's so addicting, I love it. We waiting on the next maybe 6 weeks of it. Can't wait, can't wait.
Oh, and Kendrick Carmouche, he is smiling now. He had a win earlier on today's card. He's won over 3,000 races in his career. Actually learned to ride in the sugarcane fields growing up in Louisiana. He would get on whatever he could, including baby cows there on the farm where he grew up.
He brings a tremendous energy, not only to the horses he rides, but to the fans that he interacts with. Great guy.
It's going to be aboard that horse right there. Fox Rules, a speedster coming up in this 8th race. And Kendrick going to try and perhaps steal this one on the lead. Time for a paddock report. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm. Now standing Byron for $15,000. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Greg, thank you. And I want to start with the outside runner here. That is the big, good-looking grayson of the Factor in number 8, Morrison, as he steps out of age-restricted company for the first time here, but against the New York breds. He is facing some older ones. Right to his inside is a 9-year-old. But look, physically, this guy matches up quite nicely with them. As I said, he's big, he's imposing, and he looks great here. I think he's a little bit compromised because I do feel as though that he does his best running when on the lead, and I doubt he's going to secure that from the inside runner with the aforementioned Kendrick Carmouche aboard Fox Rules. Looking at that other 9-year-old in number 7, Royal Blessing. I like this horse, and I love the job that trainer Brendan Walsh does, but the fact of the matter with this guy is that his best running is done on a very firm turf course, and you can see that. He's the kind of that heavier round body type where they skip over that very firm going, and there's some give here in the ground, which it might not bode well for his chances. And then we will check in with the 1A, the other 9-year-old. Love these senior citizen guys. As the Fox Rules, he looks to be the inside speed here, and I love this horse. He is pretty relaxed here overall, but that has come with age and maturity, and he looks fantastic. Probably one of the more fit times I've seen this guy, despite coming off a little bit of a break, and I think you can arguably say that he does handle a course that has a little bit of give in it, but for more insight on that, we'll check in with Andy and Paul.
Thanks a lot, Maggie. Well, I think the real question with the number 1A, Paul, Fox Rules, he's fast. They're going. And you know Dave Canizzo knows the value of speed. Is the 8 Morrison going to get in his way on the front end at all?
That's a very good question. It really is. They put blinkers on the son of the Factor the last 4 starts, and he's been on the front end. Now, he is rated before, but he's never really won rating before. And Fox Rules has got probably the edge on him. Not probably, does have the class edge on him. And this is him winning a nice race at the Big A. Listen, I thought he's the kind of horse, if you give him the loose lead at the top of the lane, he gives you courage like this.
I agree. He's going to be tough to catch. We'll see how much pressure Morrison can put on him. It's going to be tough to run him down, but there are other horses, and I know that you're a big fan of the number 4, Mo Diddley, who lost to a horse last time in Goucheport that came back and won his next start against Tougher.
The reason why I like Mo Diddley, they tried the horse around 2 turns in the Iroquois in his 3rd career start when he was a 2-year-old. Nothing happened. The horse went to the sidelines, and ever since they've gone to the turf, he has gotten tons better, and he passed a pretty big test last time around 2 turns.
And he's a horse been training in New York for Jamie Begg, who's the assistant to Mark Cassidy in New York, who we've talked about. Has been doing a great job. I like the 7, Royal Blessing. I am not thrilled with the fact he's currently 5-2. Based on his double price, I think he'll be 3-1 or 7-2 in here. And some people will look and say, this horse ran Indiana Downs last time. Those horses are not as good as these. I'm going to tell you, this was a very strong field, Paul, and I like his chances today.
Well, he's obviously a horse that's a win machine, 12 for 51 lifetime. The worry is he's 0 for 5 here at Saratoga. He's been a little bit unlucky, but he does get Castellano aboard. And look at the 2 races with Javier. He's lost by a neck twice, so he's been right there. And I think you won't get 5-2. You get a little higher.
I think a valid point is whether or not he'll run his best race in New York, Greg.
All right, we'll find out. Certainly, this is an intriguing field coming up, including that pace scenario with the 1A Fox rules and the 8 Morrison. I want to remind everybody to get sign up started and play along. $200 new member sign up bonus going on now. Use the promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage. Go to NyraBets.com for all the details and go ahead and get down and bet race 8 and all the races we show you each and every day coming up. There's Morrison. There's Luis Saez for Joe Sharp. Very quick, and a few starts back, he was second to a good one named Hawkish, who would win the Grade 2 Penn Mile.
I love the way he looks walking out of that paddock area as well. I'm expecting him to be a big factor, pun intended.
9-5 and 7-2. We have 4 horses on the board between those number, and then 2 horses 8-1 and 18-1 respectively. Here's Sam the Bugler. Here they come for race 8. Again, 1 1/16 on the turf. New York breds in an allowance optional claiming race coming up. There's Kendrick Carmouche. We just showed you in addition to Jock Talk with him, always smiling. And smiling extra hard today, already being on the board with a win. And no doubt theft of this race on his mind. He'll have the inside post with Fox rules.
Maggie mentioned she loves this guy. Well, how can you not love a horse who's won 18 of 55 starts? He's got one way to go. Kendrick will send him. He's earned $650,000 the hard way.
He's a 2009 Fasig-Tipton November sale graduate. Is a 9-year-old. Here's the 4 Mo Diddley 2016 Fasig-Tipton August sale grad from Marcassi.
Yeah, 55 starts for Fox rules, 6 starts for Mo Diddley. He's a 3-year-old, but I think he's the one to beat here at 8-5.
Converge, the 5, Jose Lescano aboard for Napal Chatterpaul.
To say he's been interestingly placed throughout his career would be a massive understatement, but on his good day, he's picked up $250,000, but he's taken some drubbings as well.
3rd off the layoff today for him. The 6th, Lieb met the gate for Leah Giramati. Rajiv Mirage rides.
Yeah, I would have to get back about 5 starts ago, or get back some of that speed he used to have. He is 0 for 4 at Saratoga. That's why he's 19-1.
Here's Royal Blessing, Javier Castellano, Brendan Walsh, another 9-year-old.
Love seeing 2 9-year-olds who are enjoying their job at this age. 12 for 51 lifetime, a very honest individual. He's a serious late threat.
And here's a 3-year-old Morrison, Luis Saez for Joe Sharp, more speed outside.
You're right, Wolf. You're talking about the 2 3-year-olds. This is the other one. He has to keep Fox rules company if you like anybody else in this race.
Standing by with the connections of the favorite. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks, Greg, here with Mark Cassey, who sends out Mo Diddley here. And Mark, talk a little bit about this horse because he was well backed by the betting public in his debut. Do you think that he's just kind of wanted turf all along?
Yeah, I know. We always thought he was pretty talented. He ended up with a few little issues as a 2-year-old. We gave him some time, and you know, a lot of the Uncle Mo's like the grass, so he put it on. We put him on it. He ran well, so we're going to stick with it. If it had come off the grass today, we probably were going to. We had planned on giving him a try back on the dirt. He trains well enough to try again, but right now he's running well on the grass.
A good race to come out of last time out, especially considering the winner.
Exactly. It was a strong race. Thought he ran really well. Of course, the winner was much the best, but he came back and ran so well. So we're expecting big things.
Big things, definitely involving Wonder Godot, as we saw her get the victory yesterday. What was the decision behind you and Gary Barber to move forward to the Alabama versus taking down the Canadian Triple Crown?
Well, the Alabama is something, you know, since I've been a little boy. It was the Oaks and the Alabama, and he feels the same way. So it's a lot of things. It's one, we think her least preferred surface is the turf, and the last leg of the Triple Crown is on the turf. And you know what? We haven't given up. We still want to try to be champion 3-year-old filly. We know it's a tall task and have the utmost respect for Monomoy Girl, but we're kind of hoping she shows up in the Alabama. If not, we'll have to try to get her later on. But our ultimate goal, we want to make our filly a Grade 1 stakes winner. The Alabama has so much prestige, and you know, we're trying to make it to the Breeders' Cup.
Excellent stuff. Well, congratulations on yesterday, and best of luck coming up here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, back to you, Greg.
Wonder Godot, she gave Monomoy Girl all she could handle in that stretch stool in the Kentucky Oaks. Prince of Wales Stakes next for her. And then the Alabama, we already know she loves a 1.25 miles, and she may just get Monomoy Girl in that race right here at Saratoga. Connections now say that race on the table. Mo Diddley for Mark Casse coming up in race 8 next.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe, running a 105 buyer and winning by open lengths. Mastery, new for 2018 at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired, New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record-setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Standing here with a man who is truly living his dream, the voice of New York racing and, of course, the Triple Crown and Breeders' Cup, Larry Colmus. How did the road begin to Saratoga?
Well, I started out as a kid. You know, I got interested in horse racing when I was, 14, 15.
Back on Saratoga Live, Saratoga National Historic Park, the site of the Battle of Saratoga, which comprised 2 significant battles back in 1777. Crucial victory for the Patriots during the American Revolution, considered the turning point of the Revolutionary War. Benedict Arnold, who had not yet turned traitor, was the leader of the American offensive during that battle. One of the many sights to see around Saratoga. You're watching Saratoga Live as we get started with our first full week of racing here at the premier race meet in the entire country. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. New fan in the making right there. And of course, it is Military Appreciation Day on this Wednesday afternoon as we honor those who have served and continue to serve to preserve our freedom here in this tremendous country. Great to have you with us here on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. You have joined us just in time for the start of race 8 here coming up. Greg Wolf, Frank Miramati, Andy Serling, Paul LaDuca, Gabby Gaudette, and Maggie Wolfendahl, the crew with you here on this Wednesday afternoon here in this 8th race. Frank, right now it is a 3-year-old favored for Mark Casse. That is the 4-horse Mo Diddley.
I am not completely sold on Mo Diddley, despite the interview that we did earlier with Mark Casse and the fact that they're keeping him on the turf. For some reason, and I can't quite put my finger on it, in his last race, where he was beaten by a horse on a 3-race winning streak, Gucci Factor, so I'll take nothing away from that performance, he just didn't look that comfortable around the far turn. Now, maybe that's to say, okay, in that case, he outran the way he should have, but I'm thinking he might be vulnerable despite the fact there are 2 speed horses to set up the perfect trip for him.
Well, guys, as we sit it downstairs, too, he's facing some much, much older and more experienced runners as well.
Yeah, listen, he lost to horse Gucci Factor that came back and improved his buyer speed figure 6 points. And I would argue with this horse, he actually moved early in that race. I don't think it was a bad ride, Paul, and I know you like him, Mo Diddley, but I think as the race played out, you wanted to be the last mover, and Mo Diddley moved before Gucci Factor, and that might have hurt his chance a little bit.
Gucci Factor swung off his cover and then went by him. Coutilla's an old warrior, too, that ran third in that race. Listen, the 4 needs the 1A Fox Rules, and he needs Morrison, the 8, both of us do, because I know you like the 7, to go at it a little bit in here so we can have our chance to close into those 2.
I do like the 7, Royal Blessing, this race. I am not thrilled. He went to 3-1. That works for me. Maggie likes Morrison. I will say one thing, Maggie. You were on Morrison when he finished second at 16-1. You were first with this horse.
And now I'm jumping off here, Andy. Not that I don't think he can't win, and I respect him. I'm just going to take the older horses here. I'm kind of against him and Mo Diddley overall, and that's why I'm going with Fox Rules. He moved beautifully out on the track here for Kendrick Carmouche as he got a solo warm-up. Quick little note on number 7, Royal Blessing. He got really, really washy out there. Not to say that's not out of his character, but none of the other horses have done that. Gabby?
Thanks, Maggie. I'm going to tend to agree with you on here. I think it's pretty remarkable that we see 2 9-year-olds in the race. I went with the 1A Fox Rule, one of the 2 9-year-olds. He's going to have to turn back pace pressure from Morrison, but he's done that before, turning back pace pressure and still successful. That actually happened 3 races ago. So going with the old folks in here, Greg.
Gabby, thanks. Yeah, the 2 old-timers, the 1A Fox Rules, the 9-year-old with Kendrick Carmouche. He has the inside post. He's going to try and use speed to his advantage. And the 7, Royal Blessing, will try and sit just off the pace. Here we go with race 8. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Ready for the start. They're off. Fox Rules came out quickly from the inside, immediately to the front, but taken on now by Morrison, who's sent up on the outside to challenge early on. And then it's Mo Diddley and leave him at the gate, and the break of another 4 back to Converge, and Royal Blessing at the back of the pack as they make their way into that first turn. It's Fox Rules in front. Morrison applying some pressure on the outside, second. Now 3/4 of a length behind, and Mo Diddley is third as they enter the backstretch. Leave him at the gate is 4th, and clear 2 lengths from Royal Blessing after a 23.47 opening quarter mile. Converge trails the field, racing 7 lengths off of Kendrick Carmouche and Fox Rules up the backstretch. Morrison is now 3/4 of a length behind, second on the outside. A length and a half to leave him at the gate, who's just alongside of Mo Diddley. And then it's Royal Blessing, 5th and 5 from the front. The trailer Converge as they continue through a 47.67 half mile. Fox Rules the leader. Luis Saez keeps him company with Morrison second on the outside with a half mile to go. Down toward the inside comes Mo Diddley, who tracks them in third. Leave him at the gate is 4th by another 2. Royal Blessing and Converge. And Morrison takes the lead now on the far turn. Morrison has taken over. Fox Rules under pressure starts to backpedal on the inside. Leave him at the gate, goes up 3 wide. Royal Blessing circling up on the far outside. Mo Diddley and Converge, they're into the stretch. Morrison to catch. Royal Blessing on the outside, runs at Morrison. Leave him at the gate is third down toward the inside. Furlong to run. Morrison holding on to the lead here. On the outside, it's Royal Blessing. Leave him at the gate is down toward the inside and now up into second, but Morrison's got it. Morrison and Luis Saez to win it by 2. Leave him at the gate was second. Royal Blessing was third, and Mo Diddley was 4th in 1:43.36.
Morrison and trainer Joe Sharp head to the winner's circle. Luis Saez aboard for the victory.
The money shows for Joe Sharp. His horses are nearly unbeatable, and Morrison was much the best in this race. He dueled Fox Rules in defeat in what was a very quick pace for this turf course, especially considering the final time. Buried Fox Rules, put him away. Royal Blessing got a perfect trip, looked a winner heading for home, had absolutely no excuse to be a bad third. Morrison, a much the best winner.
Yeah, he really was. And if you look 2 back now, you start wondering and you go, wow, he was right behind Raging Bull, and you got 7-2 on Morrison today.
He's a good-looking colt, and look at him just pull away with authority late. It was a perfect ride. He sat right next to the pace setter, put him away, and just won with plenty left. Yet another long shot completing an exacta today. That's been a nice theme. If you've had contenders on paper with some big prices, you've cashed in. Morrison gets career win number 3 emphatically.
Yeah, back in race 7, we had English Dancer win a 44-1 shot in second. Here, We have a 31-1 shot. Liam at the gate running in second to complete the exacta. But Morrison proving, too, doesn't have to be the one out in front alone to get a win.
That was the situation, and the favorite here, Mo Diddley, had the perfect setup that we expected with Fox Rules and Morrison up in front of him. But in a case like this, once Fox Rules tired, this horse it was his race to lose, and he finished the job with, look at him, he's galloping out very strongly. He looked good.
7-2 on Morrison. Joe Sharp continuing a tremendous meet from limited runners, but has his horse in top shape, getting the win. We'll have the prices from this one coming up in just a moment. 8, 6, 7, 4 finish. Well, this guy you're going to hear on the microphone in New Jersey with the Haskell Invitational Monmouth coming up over the weekend. You've called races, of course, all across the country. Larry Colmus here at Saratoga. He's been in the business for a few years as well. 33 years he's been doing this. This racetrack announcers, they're a tight-knit community, so who better than to get us to meet Larry Colmus than Frank Miramati.
Standing here with a man who is truly living his dream, the voice of New York racing and, of course, the Triple Crown and Breeders' Cup, Larry Colmus. How did the road begin to Saratoga?
Well, I started out as a kid. You know, I got interested in horse racing when I was, 14, 15 years old. And one day, I just got a tape recorder in the Maryland press boxes, started calling races, and it started from there.
Tell us what it means to be the voice of Saratoga.
This is the place, in my opinion, the one place that you want to end up. And I'm so lucky to be here. The atmosphere of this place, I mean, you've seen it.
Sure.
It's unbelievable. The excitement every day, the fans that are here, and everyone is watching the races at Saratoga. You don't want to just walk up to the microphone and hope that you call a good race. You want to practice, make sure you know who those horses are, and be ready when those gates opened. And you're on every day, every race.
Tell us about the sight lines here at Saratoga. It's not exactly a picnic up there for certain views.
No, everything is in the way at Saratoga in the announcer's booth. Right after the finish line, there is a big white post, so you have to lean to the left to get around it. All the way around the track, there's trees, and you have to study the horses as soon as they come onto the track, because once they're on the backstretch, you'll never see them again. They're always hiding behind those trees. Everything is wrong about that booth except for one thing. It's at Saratoga, and you don't care because you're here, and it's just the most exciting experience you can imagine.
Your first year, you had the amazing privilege of calling the Triple Crown won by American Pharoah. We know how much fun that was for you.
The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one.
Talk to us about when he came here for the Travers, because you had to describe an entirely different situation. Tell us about that stretch call, because you definitely described the moment to a T.
I think it's something that you have to be prepared for every scenario. It was a situation where you just had to describe what was going on, and at the very end I said the graveyard of champions has claimed another, because that's what happened, and it just sort of came out because that was the race that you expected would not happen that way.
This is a man right here. He is the voice of New York racing, and he's doing a fantastic job day in and day out. Larry Colmus.
And there he is up in the booth. It can be a lonely job, but so many people count on what he says each and every step of the way from gate to wire. I like seeing you guys together. I want to see more of that.
I'll tell you, he spent a couple of decades in that Monmouth Park booth, and so it was a place that I couldn't even think that I would one day be the Monmouth announcer, because you figured Larry would be there forever. He's a guy who's paid his dues. I mean, he certainly, like a horse getting to the top, went through his conditions and went all over the country to do it. One of the things people don't know is what a great impressionist he is. We often have conversations with one another, and the entire conversation, neither of us is using our own voice. We're just talking to each other as different people. Very entertaining guy.
Who's his best impersonation?
Believe it or not, his Trevor Denman is beyond belief. He does a Bob Weems, he does Ross Morton, he does almost everybody.
I never knew. I knew that about you. I didn't know that about Larry Colmus. I'm going to have to hear this. Morrison wins race 8, $9.40 for the win. Joe Sharp, Luis Saez, and Newport Stables with this son of the factor. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, I'll be waiting to hear Frank's impression of Larry Colmes, as I'm pleased to be joined by winning conditioner Joe Sharp here with Morrison. And Joe, a horse that you've always liked, I know that, but really kind of put it together today. He really ran a great race.
Yeah, he did. It was, he'd shown some big races on the lead this spring, and it was nice to see him settle today and run, with a little more maturity. And I thought Louis rode him great and set a good trip and was, got a reasonable pace.
Was there any trepidation with you kind of stepping out of that age-restricted company, although this was New York breds?
It was kind of a catch-22, to go against New York breds or stay with straight 3-year-olds. And I think more importantly, it was just the trip and, and Morrison just being comfortable today. I think he's capable of facing open, but I think he just has to kind of go his way a little more.
That's leading me to my next question. Do you look at races restricted to 3-year-old turf horses up here?
I think we'll probably try the open straight 3-year-old 1X. Would probably be our next move with him. So.
Well, talking of stake races, coming up on August 4th is the Weah, and you have a nice mare on your hands, and Mom's on Strike. She got really good over the wintertime at Fairgrounds. Was that her, or was that a matter of the track, Joe?
I think it was just her coming into herself and being able to be on a regular pattern. And, she's matured. She's a big filly, and honestly, her broken road that, led her to where she is today actually ended up being a blessing in disguise, and the patience paid off.
I like that metaphor. Well done. Joe, congratulations here, though, with Morrison.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Maggie, thank you very much. And Joe Sharp, very live, by the way, in the last race on today's card. He'll send out the 11 for Knights off the claim. See if he can rack up another victory. But Morrison, much the best here in race 8.
The beauty of horse racing is you just never know when the connections are going to come right back to you. And we have a big race coming up right now, the Honorable Miss, and what an outstanding mare she was.
Bill Shoemaker aboard for this victory, toting 130 pounds back in 1976 in the Fall Highway Handicap, rolling to victory by 4 1/4 lengths.
Tremendous. Just, I know Andy Serling absolutely loved the Honorable Miss, and this is what makes fans at a young age. And you just look back at those days, brings back fond memories for Andy and all of her fans.
Well, this year's edition, this is a look at the field. Finley's Lucky Charm, 6-5 favorite. She was favored in this race last year. She seemed to really kind of take command mid-stretch, and then all of a sudden, Paula Silverlining re-rallied and overtook her.
Paula Silverlining, a flat runner, and so I don't think you could take anything away from her. She did everything right. The only thing she didn't do is win.
Can she do it this afternoon? That was her only try at Saratoga. She ran well. Can she do it one better this afternoon? We're going to find out. We're going to take a break, and the action still to come. Hope for our veterans provided by Equine Thoroughbreds. We'll have that story when we come back.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with NyraBets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or NyraBets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Eclipse champion Blaine notched over $4.3 million in earnings, including this historic victory over Zenyatta. Now he's making a name for himself as an internationally successful stallion. Recent top runners include multiple graded stakes winner Folt and French Classic winner Senga. In the ring, his yearlings have sold up to $350,000. Among the top sires of his crop by lifetime graded stakes horses, his 2018 stud fee offers outstanding value. Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Not since Danzig has a stallion seen this much early success. He's not just setting records, he's making history. The best start at stud ever. Uncle Mo, the momentum continues.
For 6,000 years, horses have been one of mankind's greatest allies, accelerating transportation, in agriculture, and in warfare, and of course entertaining millions at racetracks across the globe. But just west of the Hudson River at the Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey, retired racehorses are finding a new purpose. For 6,000 years, horses have been one of mankind's greatest allies, accelerating transportation, in agriculture, and in warfare, and of course entertaining millions at racetracks across the globe. But just west of the Hudson River at the Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey, retired racehorses are finding a new purpose as companions in psychotherapy with the Man of War Project. Led by philanthropist and longtime horse owner Earl Mack, himself a veteran, the project aims to heal veterans who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Equine animals, especially retired racehorses, could help these veterans that suffer from PTSD, these veterans that gave their lives for us, that risked their lives for us, that are our heroes.
PTSD affects nearly 1 in 5 veterans, and the Man of War Project presents a new treatment alternative. It's the first university-led research trial that assesses the effectiveness of equine-assisted therapy in treating PTSD, while also establishing manualized guidelines for its application.
Horses, by definition, are prey animals. They are commonly hypervigilant. They are on alert all the time. They are really scanning the environment in order to determine what is safe and what is dangerous. And veterans with PTSD, both men and women, are very sensitive exactly to the same issue. So here you have a very perfect opportunity for the two species really to interact.
Horses make great companions for this type of treatment because of their unique ability to mirror and respond to human behavior.
I mean, I'm not a small guy. I was in the infantry for 10 years. I, carried a couple hundred pounds on my back, and these animals are massive animals. They even intimidated me the first time I came to see the program. You get in the ring with one of these horses and but it's really interesting to see the way that the horses actually reflect those same emotions when they see a human coming towards them.
Early returns are incredibly positive. The Man of War Project not only gives veterans another way to combat PTSD, but if widely adopted, creates careers beyond the track for retired thoroughbreds.
In Fat Jack is also gaining ground. Crafty Star inside the final 70 yards, in front now by 2 at 5 to 1. It will be Crafty Star. Crafty Star has won it.
Well, the Man of War Project at Columbia University's Irving Medical Center. It's the first university-led research trial to establish manualized guidelines for the application of equine-assisted therapy for treating veterans with PTSD. For more information, you can go to mowproject.org. Horse racing and retired thoroughbreds helping veterans. We have our feature race coming up. It is the Grade 2 Honorable Miss. Send it downstairs to Andy Serling and Paula Duca.
Thanks, Greg. Can't wait for the Honorable Miss. Frank's right. She was really one of my favorite horses, a young horse. Great stories about her. Horse that could come from dead last in giant fields, beat the boys. She was sensational. We've got a very good field. I know it's 5 horses, but there's some real talent here. And Finley's Lucky Charm Ball, Grade 1 winner this year, and she showed the ability to stalk and win in that race, and that's important for her. I thought last year they didn't use her pace advantage to her best interest, and that's why she finished second. Arguably a horse at that time, Paula Silver Lining, who was the leader of the division. Today, I think she stalks, and she's just much doors to beat. She runs this race. She ran at Keeneland. They won't beat her.
No, they can't beat her. They really can't. I mean, listen, she did all the dirty work from the 10 post most of the way. You look at her PPs, she loves to be outside. When she lost to Paula Silver Lining and had that tough loss, she was on the outside that day. I just think she just feels more comfortable. She's the one to beat Brett Calhoun and Brian Hernandez. They've been a very, very good team. But look, everybody's coming at her, and she showed a lot of grit sticking her neck out.
I mean, they were at her the whole stretch, and she was able to hold them off. Now, we talked a little bit about this earlier with Kirby's Penny. When Kirby's Penny got it done last time in the Vagrancy, she and Shalone were able to control on the front end. Not the same situation, and she could be in that uncomfortable position between horses with Vertical Oak speed in the inside and Finley's Lucky Charm. Can she take another step forward and beat the... She can. Will she?
That's a tough one to answer. You know, she has really been a great claim. They claimed this horse for $20,000 originally, and then Wesley plucked her for $40,000, and she's been nothing but a win machine for him. And listen, 4 out of 5, 7 out of 12 lifetime. And when she won the Vagrancy, she won it powerfully. And I'm wondering if she's good enough. She switched back to her wrong lead there, and then she went back to her right lead. I think she has to improve a little bit more to beat fillies like maybe Fabian and Finley's Lucky Charm.
To be fair, she has improved with each of her starts, so maybe she can make that next improvement. I think Fabian is the second likeliest winner. I'd like the one as my second choice, Vertical Oak, thinking we'd be getting rain, which didn't come. And unfortunately, we're not getting it anymore tomorrow after all those dire predictions. I think Fabian is very dangerous getting back to dirt. The last time she ran in New York, and that's the 5 Fabian, Bob Baffert's barn, John Tanya Terranova take care of his horses when they're left in New York for a period of time, as Fabian has been. I think that effort in the Ruffian is better than it looks. That race fell apart. It was a mile, and I think this cut back to 6 furlongs, and she could be the proverbial closer in a race packed with speed.
You're true. It's true as can be. I mean, I think the distance, first of all, is going to suit her better. I think she's going to be better at 6 furlongs. They put her on the turf. She surprised everybody a little bit. But if you look back, who did she lose to by 4 lengths? American Gal, Finley's Lucky Charm, same thing. There's common company there for a 3-to-1 shot and an even money shot. And then you got Bob Baffert in his corner. But let's put this into context. When Bob leaves his horses here, usually stay in the John Terranova barn. So, but the horse also has good races against Mopatism. Plays here too. I'm with you. I think Fabian is a player.
I think she is too. Now, it's nice to get a chance to get redemption. It rarely happens in racing, but owner Carl Moore coming back to town with Finley's Lucky Charm, and Gabby is standing by with him.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, very happy to be joined by Carl. And I was reading earlier, 1972 at Redoso Downs, you were a groom. Is this true or false?
Oh, absolutely. My dad had race horses, and I got a chance to work at the track. So that summer, I was that's where I learned how to take care of legs and groom them, and it was a very good experience for me. So yes, it was awesome. Had tons of fun.
And how do you think that kind of initiation into the game has helped you thus far?
Oh, it gave me a great appreciation for what goes on the backside. The grooms, the people, everything on the backside, what all they do. Great appreciation for it and an understanding of it, and like legs and things, how to take care of the horses from, bandaging them and everything else as far as wrapping them and stuff, tendons, you name it. All of it, that really helped me do today for sure.
You are very involved in racing and with your horses. Talk a little bit about the farm that you own down in Texas, 200 acres?
I've got 200 acres there in Fort Worth, and I lay up my own horses, bring them there. I've got a Eurosizer, vibration plate. My wife has a bunch of barrel horses, so Chamberlain Breeds, the 101 Breeders' Cup winner 2010, is out there running around the pasture right now. So it's a great joy to me, and very lucky to do what I'm doing.
And Finley's Lucky Charm, how much of a pleasure and a joy has she been? Just such a consistent mare here.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. She named after my granddaughter, and so she's a favorite of the whole family for sure, and it's been unbelievable. They don't come along very long.
Were you happy that the rain stayed away today with her?
Yes, I think she'll like a fast track better than she does the slot for sure.
Well, best of luck here coming up.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Maggie. Well, Finley's Lucky Charm definitely does look like a formidable foe here.
And much the horse to beat, Gabby, as she does come off a little bit of a freshening as well, going back to a lackluster performance in the Humana Distaff when she was down on the inside over that wet, fast sealed track there. And today, much better conditions, more preferable, I should say, for Finley's Lucky Charm, who looks extremely well conditioned. I mean, her coat is rich and hydrated, and she definitely has that look of eagles in her eyes, as she's giving me the hairy stare right now as I stand behind her. But But look, she is much the horse to beat, and it really feels as though dynamics are going to play into her favor. But the other horse who caught my eye is right to her inside in number 5, Fabian. To me, Fabian is built more like a sprinting type. You know, she's a little smaller, she's shorter coupled, she has that shorter back, and while she does go out for Bob Baffert, she has been in John Terranova's barn for most of the summer here, and she comes in here sharp as John looks for another winner here on today's card. And I think of the horses in here, other than Finley's Lucky Charm, she's the most interesting one. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. That paddock report brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000 as we take a look at Vertical Oak, who has shown an affinity for Saratoga.
She's earned $500,000. She's very, very talented. I know that they were begging for some rain with her. She was so impressive when winning Preakness weekend over at Pimlico, and she's going to gun right out of there. As you mentioned, she's 2 for 3 over this track. I think we all, for the most part, agree that this race goes through Finley's Lucky Charm. There's no question. She's got the perfect situation. And despite the fact that she has faced and has accomplished more than these others, this is not an easy race for her. It's a short field, but there are a few that could win this thing.
Yet she is even money. The 6 on the board here as we still look here at Vertical Oak. She's been on our show before. She was actually one of the favorites. It was last summer, Belmont, and she didn't really get out of the gate all that well. That was in the Jersey Girl. Since that time, though, she's won a Grade 2. She's won a stakes race at Pimlico, and she's come back as a 4-year-old very strong as we look at Kirby's Penny, who's rolled off 2 in a row, and she's undefeated at Saratoga.
And Paco Lopez, who rode Chalone last time against her, was peeking around at the quarter pole. That's generally an indication that the winner's circle is coming up next. But Kirby's Penny mowed her right down. She has been in a groove, and when they get good like this, this is the perfect opportunity for her to take a shot. She already won her Grade 3. Now she has a chance at a Grade 2.
She's versatile, too. She's quick. I don't think she's as quick as some of the others in this race, though, but she does not need to have the lead. 3-1 on the board right now. She is 7 for 12 in her career. John Velasquez back aboard today, and she's coming off the best performance, I would argue, in her career with that graded stakes win.
No question.
Want to remind everybody, 10% winners bonus trifecta coming up next in the Honorable Mistakes. Go to NyraBets.com. That's available on the app only, however. So go to the NyraBets app. Take advantage of that 10% winners bonus trifecta coming up. Fabian just leaving our screen. Turf to dirt. Back to 6 furlongs, which we have not seen her at in a long time. When she did that, she beat Chalone.
She also had a very nice win when she defeated Selcourt, who's an extremely talented filly and was a heavy favorite when they matched up last year. I think she might just want a tiny bit more distance, but in a short field, if they start cooking up top, and we know Vertical Oak is going, we know that Finley's Lucky Charm is not going to let anyone get away from her. If those two start sizzling, Fabian will be finding her best stride, particularly the last 16th of a mile.
Yeah, guys, Andy, Paul, how hot this pace stool going to be up front?
I don't know. I think a lot depends on whether Kirby's Penny goes or not. If she doesn't go, then I think you'll see Finley's Lucky Charm stalking Vertical Oak, and it won't be as hot as some might think.
Yeah, that could happen. Vertical Oak can only win it one way, right?
From the rail, she's got to go.
She's got to go. Finley's Lucky Charm, I would think, goes, I'm better than you. You're right. It depends what happens, and we'll see how fast Fabian wants to go, you know?
Here comes our post parade, and we start with Vertical Oak for trainer Steve Asmus and Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
Some of the few connections that are sorry the rain didn't come today. She needs a wet track to beat this kind.
This post parade brought to you by OCD Pellets. Build stronger bone with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. Go to OCDpellets.com for more information. Here is Kirby's Penny for Wesley Ward with John Velasquez.
A former $20,000 claim stepped up to win a stake last time the vagrancy. Can she move up and win a Grade 2 today?
Long shot, 13 songs sent out by Dallas Stewart. Luis Saez aboard.
On paper, the answer is no, but Dallas Stewart, how many of his horses overachieved? This could be another one. She'd have to take a monumental step forward.
On Baffert's Fabian returning to the dirt. Javier Castellano aboard.
A lot of us think she's the most likely upsetter as she goes turf to dirt and cuts back in distance.
And the even money favorite just missed by a neck in this race last year is the favorite, Finley's Lucky Charm for Brett Calhoun with Brian Hernandez Jr.
There are no flukes when you win 10 of 16 and when you win a blanket photo finish in the Madison at grade 1. She is purely talented and strictly the one to beat.
That was just 2 starts ago at Keeneland at 7 furlongs in that grade 1 win for her. And again, her only prior try here. Heartbreak, but she ran lights out. Too good to lose. We'll see if she can do that one better this afternoon. Just missed by a neck in this same race last year. Finley's Lucky Charm, the one to beat. Looking for the 11th win of her career. We'll have it for you next.
Turning for home in front. Coast of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back there in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The 3 of them come to the wire. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Gonna turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
Dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Into the stretch. Paula's Silver Lining on the outside. Finley's Lucky Charm by the Moon is closing the gap on the outside. It is Paula's Silver Lining in front, coming down to the 16th pole. Finley's Lucky Charm battles on from the rail. By the Moon is next and third. Finley's Lucky Charm just keeps on battling inside of Paula's Silver Lining. Paula's Silver Lining beat her. Stretch. Paula's Silver Lining on the outside. A narrow lead here from Finley's Lucky Charm. By the Moon is closing the gap on the outside. It is Paula's Silver Lining in front, coming down to the 16th pole. Finley's Lucky Charm battles on from the rail. By the Moon is next and third. Finley's Lucky Charm just keeps on battling inside of Paula's Silver Lining. Paula's Silver Lining beat her.
I still don't know how she got beat. She takes command late stretch, and then somehow that other filly just outgames her.
She's a very talented other individual. Paula's Silver Lining, as Andy mentioned earlier, arguably on top of the division at that point. I don't take anything away from her for losing that race. I thought she had everything she needed in order to get the W. She just simply ran into a better horse. To me, the question with her is this. It's very simple. She's drawn on the outside. She's got the perfect setup once again. On paper, this looks like an easier field, but it's a year later. Yes, she's only 5, but it's almost like she's an old 5 because she's had a very busy campaign so far, 10 for 16. She's always fired off the layoff. Can she do it again here? If she does, they're running for second.
And guys, she's 4 to 5 on the board right now.
Do you think, Frank, that maybe she's in the best form of her career? I mean, I would argue that Madison, that's the best race she ever ran. So maybe she's a 5-year-old that's hitting her stride the best.
She's lost her 3 of her last 4 races. That was a fantastic performance. But remember that there are some horses that have come out of that race that have not, Miss Sunset got drilled when she came back out of that race as well. So I'm not saying anything bad about her. I pick her on top. She is by far the deserving favorite. I believe that to be true. As much as I love odds-on favorites, I don't know that I would take it in this circumstance because of the fact that there are some others that are maybe rising to the occasion. I love this filly. I'm a big fan of this mare, Finley's Lucky Charm.
You say she's lost 3 of her last 4. Let's discuss them. She didn't handle a sloppy track last time. She doesn't a turf horse, and she ran the Breeders' Cup. So I think she's had legitimate excuses, Paul, to have lost 3 of her last 4.
Well, yeah, she's been a little bit unlucky. She was game, like I said, 2 back in the Madison. I think if you met at this stuff, it might have taken a little bit out of her. Plus, she got in a wicked duel, and American Gal was giant that day. Ivy Bell rolled up the rail and just sucked up second. Now, for Fabian or the 3 Kirby's Penny and Vertical Oak to make the jump to beat her, they got to make a little bit of a jump, but it's not that big of a leap of at least 1 of 3.
I know Maggie has more. Let's head out to Maggie for more on this race.
Andy, thank you. And we'll check in with the Wesley Ward trainee, and that is number 3, Kirby's Penny. And she kind of started off her life fairly modestly, and talk about a filly or mare that has developed. She certainly has done that. And each start, she takes a step forward for her conditioner. I will say that today, I'm liking her a little bit more. I thought she didn't look great in her coat and everything last time, and she still won and ran the best race of her life. And today, came in very energetic. She was on her toes. She had an energetic warm-up as well. So we'll see how close she is to that early pace, as she is one of the inside runners here overall. Now, checking back in with our current favorite and horse to beat, that's number 6, Finley's Lucky Charm. Okay, stay with me here a little bit, guys. Joe Sharp won the last race. I'm kind of going on a family kind of deal here as far as rolling into one race to the next. Joe Sharp won the last race with Morrison. His mom, Sarah Escudero, gallops Finley's Lucky Charm and is the girlfriend of Brett Calhoun. So gotta think there's some good karma going on here, right?
Yeah, definitely a family affair, that's for sure, Maggie. And I did talk to Brett before the race in the paddock, and he said, man, he's really happy that the rain stayed away, because he does think that she's that much better on a fast track, as we've seen from her past performances. But one horse that I think is a little bit downgraded by the fact that we are on a fast main track is the one Vertical Oak. I still pick her. And I do think that the scratch of the 2 Shalone to her outside is definitely beneficial for her, because Ricardo Santana has got to go from the inside. And she's paired up some decent races so far this year. The biggest class, this could be her biggest class test here to date. And I don't think it's going to be very easy with Finley's Lucky Charm breathing down her neck. But Greg, I will say, I thought she made a very nice appearance today on track. She just has to prove today if she's good enough.
Absolutely. There's question marks for a lot of the runners in this spot. It is that 5-year-old mare's race to lose this afternoon. Finley's Lucky Charm, that price just keeps getting lower and lower the closer we get to post time. She is 3 to 5 right now.
Well, here's what you have to ask yourself. At 3 to 5, you can look and start to eliminate. So the 4-13 songs is in a tough spot here. To me, the underlay here is the 3, Kirby's Penny. I could never take her at odds of 5 to 2. I think if you're going to try to beat Finley's Lucky Charm from a value standpoint, you have to either go to number 1, Vertical Oak, or the 5, Fabian. And let me just say this in advance. I'm not going to take credit if Fabian wins. That was my error. I was thinking of Finley's Lucky Charm, just like last year, drawing the outside 5, and so I turned in number 5. That's completely my mistake. My selection is Finley's Lucky Charm in this race, and I apologize to our producers for that. But I think if someone could beat her, my leaning would be to either Vertical Oak or Fabian.
The only time Fabian, the 5, is gone 6 furlongs. She ran huge. She got beat, but she did beat Shalone, who would have been another one of the many contenders in this race. Grade 2 honorable miss, the 6-horse Finley's Lucky Charm. She was the favorite in this race last year. She took the lead late. She just got nailed right at the wire. Can she finish today? Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
They're all in line. They're off in the honorable miss. Finley's Lucky Charm goes straight out to the early lead, and rushing through on the inside is Vertical Oak, who missed the break by just a bit, but now she's going to go up and challenge for the front. And then it's 13 Songs, followed by Kirby's Penny, and Fabian's going to come from off the pace today, taken to the rear of the field to trail the field early on here, 3 lengths from the front after an opening quarter mile in 22.52 seconds. Racing for the far turn, Vertical Oak the leader, a half a length. Finley's Lucky Charm on the outside, second by 2. Kirby's Penny grabs third from 13 Songs. Fabian pushed along by Javier Castellano, 4.5 lengths off the lead. She's got to do better. Vertical Oak and Finley's Lucky Charm, the two of them kick on here. They've opened up 3 lengths on Kirby's Penny, 13 Songs and Fabian, 45 flat the half. They're into the stretch. Finley's Lucky Charm on the outside and a stubborn Vertical Oak at the rail. The two of them arrive at the 8th pole with Finley's Lucky Charm in front. Opening up now from Vertical Oak at the 16th pole. The others have been left reeling behind. Finley's Lucky Charm scores in the honorable miss by 2.5 lengths. Vertical Oak was second, Kirby's Penny was third, and then 13 Songs in 109.48.
Commanding performance from Finley's Lucky Charm. Brett Calhoun, your winning trainer. And she's just too good for this field.
She's outstanding. She has that weapon of speed, which is the #1 weapon in all of horse racing, regardless of the distance. Vertical Oak ran her eyeballs out, but she just ran into a mare that has too much class, and she proved it. And there's Brett Calhoun, who's an outstanding conditioner. I've been familiar with him and called many of his winners back to my Louisiana Downs days.
This was the best horse winning. I agree with Frank. Finley's Lucky Star, she uses her speed to her advantage in here. Finley's Lucky Charm, excuse me, and she's the best horse. I do want to give credit to Vertical Oak because she also broke a step slow, Paul, and forced the pace the whole way and really never gave up. You pointed out top of the stretch. She ran a big one today.
Yeah, she did. She really did. I thought for a split second, I went, holy cow, she's going to fight this horse off. But there you see a champion. When you're a Grade 1 winner, this is what happens. And I was always taught, they never look like a loser coming back to the winner's circle, do they, Gabby?
Absolutely not, Paul. And here with winning trainer Brett Calhoun. I was keeping eyes on you as this filly was coming down the stretch, and you were absolutely unflappable. Talk to me about your thoughts with her coming down the stretch today.
She gives you a lot of confidence. We had a very good trip today, sitting right outside the speed, from there on, I thought she was a winner.
She was second in this race last year. Does it feel good to get retribution this year?
Yeah, it was kind of a gut-wrenching loss last year. She looked like a winner, kind of looked like she'd put that horse away, and it came back and nailed us on the wire. So it's really nice to get it done this year.
With this performance today, are we going to see her back here in a couple weeks?
We'll watch her for the next couple of weeks, but that's the plan, to come back in the ballerina.
All right, well, congratulations on this one.
So Finley's Lucky Charm could be seeing her again in just a couple of weeks. This was a very good performance, winning here at 4-5, and she is just remarkably consistent. 11 wins now from 17 career starts for this 5-year-old mare by Twirling Candy. We'll be back with the prices, set up the Nightcap next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. It is Military Appreciation Day. Free admission for all past and current members of our military. And we thank them all for their service and what they have done for us to keep our country safe. They are the stars this afternoon. Our feature race, the Grade 2 honorable miss, Finley's Lucky Charm. She just missed in this race last year. This time she gets the victory. Pays $3.90 for the win. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Standing by here with her jockey and Brian Hernandez Jr. And Brian, Finley's Lucky Charm, she has been your lucky charm. I mean, now with her 11th win under her belt, you guys seem to have quite a rapport.
Yeah, you know, she's a special filly where she's all heart and she lays it out there. And she brings her A game just about every time. Her last race over at Churchill was a little bit of a throwout, but Brett kind of figured that out. And she came out here today and she dominated and showed her true class again.
Now, once again, she broke very sharply, but Vertical Oak decided to go up on the inside. Did that help you out a bit?
Yeah, you know, it made our filly, she's kind of gotten to where now she'll settle a little better, and if we need to, she can be on the lead. But we kind of thought she was the best horse today, so we just rode her like that and gave her her best chance. And she came out here today and she showed she was the best horse.
Brian, how much does it mean to you that Brett has stuck with you and been very loyal with this filly?
It's great, especially for her to finally get her Grade 1 couple starts back. You know, we always knew she was the type of filly that we can win a Grade 1 with, and I'm just very thankful to Mr. Carl and Brett for both, you know, being able to ride along with this good filly.
Well, it's good to see you here in the winner's circle. Congrats.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Greg.
Maggie, thank you very much. Finley's Lucky Charm gets it done the second time around. Takes care of unfinished business as we look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along. So an odds-on favorite. No monster bust-out long shots to this point, but often in this wager, you don't need that.
You'll still find that you'll get an overlay when it's all said and done. That's what happens with the Naira Bets late pick 5 and the early pick 5 as well. It's a fantastic wagering opportunity. Get your Naira Bets account. That's one classy winner's circle picture, let me tell you.
And how about that, Maggie Wolfendale presenting for our feature race on this Wednesday afternoon. Working a little overtime here today. And she's not done for us yet either. She's got more to talk about in race 10. Our finale coming up. Mile and a 16th. It's over the inner turf. $40,000 maiden claiming race right now. Spring on Curlin. Charlie Baker, Joel Rosario, the one to beat. I want to say Charlie Baker won the Nightcap on Monday.
You will say that correctly, and it was the number 7 horse as well, won by a block and a half. I remember it vividly.
7-2. Will history repeat itself on back-to-back days here at the meet? We're going to find out. Paddock Report, post-parade still to come. Our show brought to you in part each and every day by champion sprinter Run Happy. They're in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm in Paris, Kentucky. Never lost on the racetrack when he was sprinting. Perfect 7 for 7. All while running without the addition of Lasix medication. Set a track record as well in the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Keeneland.
They are very excited, and rightfully so, about those foals. When you call Bernie Sams and want to breed to Run Happy, you better have a very solid mare in order to get in there. An absolute bargain thus far for $25,000, and we're so looking forward to seeing his progeny, and they're getting older and getting closer to that race day. And I know that they're going to be, if I know Mattress Mac, Jim McInville, he's going to, A, breed some more great mares, and B, incentivize people to get good runners by that fantastic stallion.
Spring, summer of 2020, those offspring coming to a racetrack near you. We're going to take a break in the action. Still to come, the story of Sergeant Reckless, who held official rank
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warthrop. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 mile at Keeneland, then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. His runners include stakes winner Saratoga, along with a growing list of talented young runners. At public auction, his yearlings have sold up to $200,000. Data Link, standing at Claiborne Park.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushers out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Reckless was bred to be a racehorse, but sadly she never had a chance to race because her 2-year-old season, that's when the war broke out and racing was suspended. So instead of becoming a racehorse, she became America's greatest war horse. Reckless was bred to be a racehorse, but sadly she never had a chance to race because her 2-year-old season, that's when the war broke out and racing was suspended. So instead of becoming a racehorse, she became America's greatest war horse.
I think what impresses me most about Reckless's story in the Korean War is that they bought this horse at a race park in Seoul and turned it into a combat enabler.
Lieutenant Eric Pedersen was the man who purchased Reckless for $250, and he was the commanding officer of the recoilless rifle platoon. They decided to put her through hoof camp, which was the equine version of boot camp.
We hear about on-the-job training. This was the epitome of it. Literally, this horse was trained to lie down under fire, to protect itself, it knew how to avoid obstacles and barbed wire, and truly after just a couple of show and tell on the fly routes, the horse would do it by herself.
They would take her up and down the hills to get her used to carrying the pack saddle and the ammunition on her back. These canisters of ammo were very large. And before Reckless came along, the men had to pack this themselves. The camaraderie between Reckless and her men was something special. She was the only animal in camp, and so the Marines became her herd, and she would follow them anywhere and everywhere. She would even sleep in their tents at night. She would follow them into the mess tent and eat breakfast and had bacon and eggs. Even after a battle, she would have a beer with the guys.
The fact that Marines could depend on the horse to do the resupply routes, that means it wasn't just a horse to them. It was somebody that they were in the fight with.
What started the battle for the Nevada cities is at 7 o'clock at night, 3,000 enemy soldiers descended upon 3 outposts in this area. Reckless's men were guarding Outpost Vegas. They, of course, were overrun, and so Reckless's mission began that next morning. Started loading her up with 6 rounds at a time. By the middle of the day, she was up to 8 rounds at a time. She knew what her job was, she knew where her men were, and she would go up to the guns by herself.
There are stories of up to 50 times in one operation that she ran a supply route by herself. That frees up Marines for combat and for other things. So I believe that that's the most impressive part about the horse.
She carried 386 rounds of recoilless rifle ammunition. That's over 9,000 pounds on her back. Incoming fire was so fierce that the men couldn't hear themselves talk, and Reckless was in the middle of all of this.
Under artillery fire and mortar fire, she continued to do her resupply mission for the Marines, and especially having been wounded twice, and that not having deterred her to continue to do her mission through the end of the war it's really astounding.
They had a ceremony sending her off in October of 1954, is when she left Korea. She was the guest of honor of the Marine Corps Ball that was at the Marines Memorial Club in San Francisco. And she waltzes through the lobby and gets in an elevator and goes up to the 11th floor, sachets out of the elevator into the ballroom. She spied the anniversary cake over on the table, and before the guys could get a hold of her, she was up to her nostrils in it. And then after that, she moved over to Camp Pendleton. At Camp Pendleton, while Reckless was there, the Commandant of the Marine Corps promoted her. There was a 19-gun salute in his honor, and a parade of 1,700 troops walked by to salute her. She had 3 colts, and she had a filly. Sadly, the filly died at a month old. Unfortunately, all the colts were gelded, so there is no bloodline for her. Her story just kind of disappeared from the pages of history. And what's interesting is she was as famous as Lassie and Rin Tin Tin in her day. She was an iconic hero. And when she died, her story made the front page news in newspapers across the country. And she was buried with full military honors.
I first came to light on the story of Reckless at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Quantico, Virginia, where a statue by the same artist who did the statue that's behind us was erected to honor this great mare. I think Staff Sergeant Reckless's legacy is going to be that the courage and the dependability that she showed in combat made her truly what the saying is, not just a horse, but a Marine.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tappet has become one of the nation's leading sires of 2-year-olds. Ranked number 1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's a special place to be here, you know, for the jockey, and you know, when you see it's a lot of big races up there, you know, and then any good horse that can come from here to go, you know, to Kentucky Derby and and all the type of big races, you know. So just for us to be here, it's very exciting, you know, and just like it's different, and it's just like it's a special place, yes. It's a special place to be here, you know, for the jockey, and you know, when you see it's a special place to be here, you know, for the jockey. And, you know, when you see it's a lot of big races up there, you know, and then any good horse that can come from here to go, you know, to Kentucky Derby and all the type of big races, you know. So just for us to be here, it's very exciting, you know, and just like it's different, and it's just like it's a special place, yes.
Everybody loves coming to Saratoga. Jockeys and trainers maybe more than anybody else.
Joel Rosario, I'll give you a very obscure comparison because you would never think the two of them were similar. To me, he's the new Eddie De La Houssaye, because when he comes rolling on the outside under a confident hand ride, look out. When he goes to the front, you're probably not getting by him. He's got a super agent that's helping him along the way. Ron Anderson, 28 Breeders' Cup wins, so he's in good hands, but winners win, and these two have teamed up for a lot of success.
Well, Rosario will be on the horse who's the current favorite right now, Spring on Curlin, here in our nightcap for trainer Charlie Baker. 7-2 on that one right now. Let's send it downstairs now to Maggie Wolfendale. This paddock report brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thanks, Greg. And we will check in with the Joe Sharp runner towards the outside as Joe's looking to secure his second win on our Saratoga Live broadcast with number 11, 4 Nights. Claiming off his previous boss and Mike Maker, this one does return as a gelding. Not sure if that's correct. I should have asked. But sometimes Kentucky and Florida don't keep as good of records on geldings as we do. But 4 Nights, to me, looks fantastic here. I like him. Obviously, getting back to the turf is his preferred surface, and he just makes a lot of sense here. Yes, he's been running in some maiden claimers and unable to get the job done, but maybe with the experience under his belt, he can pull through here. As we'll take a look at another horse who is coming off a off-track performance and going first time out for Christophe Clement is number 9 at Novus. And he is, for looking at Lucky, a lot of times they're more on the slighter side and smaller, and he's not. He's big, he's strong, he's well muscled here, and he's fairly keen too. I would think that maybe he'll show a little more early pace, kind of similar to what he did in his last start, which was on the main track over a sloppy surface at Keeneland. But I like what I see from him, and given the layoff, he looks as though he's fit, ready to go, and has run on his mind. And then finally, we'll take a look at number 12, Quality Choice for Michelle Nevin, as he drops back into a maiden claimer. And on the turf, you know, physically, he actually looks as though he may like it here. Wish he had a little more energy overall. He's very quiet for Michelle Nevin runner. Usually they're pretty much on the muscle, but still an interesting move of surfaces, because physically, he definitely looks as though he may appreciate this son of Quality Road. Gabby, what do you have?
Well, Maggie, I'm standing by with a few gentlemen who are out here to participate in a Military Appreciation Day. And we'll start with you, Ed. How is the day going? I heard you got off to a good start in the steeplechase race.
Yeah, it's a very good start. I did my first trifecta and won, so I was very happy. And so far, I'm holding my own. We're still ahead. We're still ahead.
That is always a very difficult thing and always a very good thing at Saratoga. Dave, I wanted to ask you about just the day in general and the involvement from different parties, including the foundation of E. Lewis.
Yes. They've reached out to us as officers in the American Legion to help organize, have veterans come and participate in the Veterans Appreciation Day. Julianne has asked, you know, I need Korean War vets, I need World War II vets, we're Panama, Beirut, Grenada era veterans, and we're all very local. And it's a great day. I'm glad that they step up and along partnering with NYRA. Their veterans get a free minutes at the track, and this is in the rain held off.
And the L. Louis Foundation, if I can correct myself. And last but certainly not least, Keith, all three of you are members of the American Legion. What could you tell us about that?
Well, we are the largest wartime veterans organization in the country, probably in the world, if you want to keep it that way. And we have a wonderful membership here in New York, do a lot for children and youth, a lot on national security. We have Americanism as one of our planks, as well as the veterans and the VA. So we really support what's going on with the VA and the veterans and trying to get them the care when they come back that they need. So we enjoy it. I'm mostly tied into the children and youth, which is near and dear to my heart, with the American Legion Boys State, American Legion Baseball, American Legion Oratorical Contest. So we have a lot of programs. And if people want to know, you know, what the American Legion can do for you, it's anything you want us to do, because we're there to help the community as well as veterans in the community. So definitely we're there as an organization to help support and do the best we can for veterans and their families.
Sounds like you're very busy, but incredible.
Anniversaries this year. We all just came back from our state convention in Rochester last week, so yes, we are out there.
Excellent stuff. Well, we're so happy that you guys are out here and so happy that you could take the time to join me here today.
Oh, and thanks for Naira and Ed Luian for having us come out today. And it's been great seeing all our brothers and sisters in all the different services and all the different times that they served. It's been fun chatting with the World War II vets, Korean War vets, Vietnam vets. It's been a ball, and those currently serving, so it's been a lot of fun today.
All right, well, Greg, these guys are a lot of fun, so I'll let you guys get to the post parade. I'm going to stay here.
All right, Gabby, thank you very much. Glad to see they're having some success at the windows, too, on Military Appreciation Day. As we take a look at maiden entrants, Luis Reyes in the irons 2 starts has not hit the board.
Extremely short price tag at 28-1 after being 114, 138-1 in his prior two races.
Monet, Mo Problems, Rajiv Mirage for George Weaver.
Definitely one of the players in here at 4-1. Getting closer and closer to a win, but this gelding by Uncle Mozo for 9 lifetime now.
Turf debut for Blasphemy for Ron Moquette. Joe Bravo aboard.
Tries the turf for the first time. Does not have a pedigree to move forward on the surface.
Blinkers come off today, the 3 as well. Here is Union Ranks for Jimmy Jerkins, Jose Ortiz in the irons.
My top choice, ran well enough to win this in his turf debut, ran well enough to finish last in his last race.
6 horse at 18-1, Kendrick Carmouche aboard for Mike Maker, Bay Hill.
Yeah, 18-1 Bay Hill. It'd probably cost you about 10 times that to play the golf course.
Spring on Curlin, Joel Rosario, Charlie Baker, 0 for 4 on the turf, has only hit the board once.
Yeah, but he's run better on the turf than the dirt, though his best race with a good trip. He's not impossible, but he's an underlay right now.
Sacred Walk is the 8, Julian Leperoux for Dallas Stewart.
You know, this horse has got an interesting one race on the turf where he got a decent buyer, but I just don't know if it was real. Good last race last time, getting played a little bit.
Christophe Clement sends out Novus, dropping class with Manny Franco.
This is a very sneaky horse near Novus. Only turf race was against a much better field with a little bit of a trip.
Joe Sharp off the claim. He's already won on our show today. Luis Saez rides.
This is a horse that was claimed from Joe Sharp's ex-boss, Mike Maker. Tough to claim for Mike Maker. Joe's good, but not off the claim with maidens on turf.
And quality choice. This will be the turf debut for this Michelle Nevin runner, Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
Yeah, you make a great point, Wolfie. Turf debut. The 3 and the 12 are the wild cards in here. Are they going to improve on the turf in a suspect field?
So this is a look at the 2. Monet, Mo Problems, Rajiv Mirage will be aboard. Yesterday, he sent out a tweet saying, Mother Nature, if you can hear me, please ease up on the rain tomorrow at Saratoga. I need it to be on the turf. He had 2 mounts that he took a picture of. One was a horse who won earlier, Sport, and this was his other one in that picture, Monet, Mo Problems.
And he's riding for 2 trainers that I always remind myself before Saratoga, at least in the last few years, don't let these guys beat you. James Bond, who won earlier, and George Weaver. And this is my pick, Monet More Problems. He's simply been facing better, and he comes out of the same race as Spring on Curlin. They're both on the verge of getting that title of professional maiden, so they need to graduate soon. Only one of them will be able to do so today. I hope it's number 2, Monet More Problems, who's now co-favored, and according to all the multi-race wagers, will eventually be the favorite in this race as he was on the morning line. I think his best is too good for this group.
And he finished ahead of Spring on Curlin in that head-to-head performance as well. It's Military Appreciation Day on this Wednesday from Saratoga. We have the finale coming up next.
International Super Sire Warfront. Among his 34 stakes horses in 2017 were Grade 1 winners American Patriot, Avenge, Roly Poly, War Flag, and Europe's champion 2-year-old colt, U.S. Navy Flag. Last year, Warfront was the nation's #1 sire in multiple categories. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live, it is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We have our nightcap coming up, just 4 minutes to post in Monet Mo Problems. Rajiv Mirage looking for his second winner on today's card as we send it downstairs to Andy and Paul.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Interesting race here. I'm interested in the 5 Union ranks. No question, did not run well last time out. Horse who finished just ahead of him came back and actually ran fairly well to be 3rd in this division earlier today. And if Union ranks can get back to that first star of the turf, he'd be very tough, Paul. Big hit, though.
He'd be tough in here. It's interesting that he got actually bet first time out. They put him on the turf. He didn't get bet. And he actually might have surprised them a little bit. And then Jimmy probably said, okay, let's put him in the sidelines. And when I watched the race last time, he broke a tiny bit flat-footed, and they ran really fast up front, and he got disinterested into the race.
He was dreadful. Jimmy Jerkins, though, drops him down to a much more reasonable level. Another horse I'm very interested in is the 9-horse Novus, who's taking money for the hot Christophe Clement bar. In fact, dipped down back to 5-1. This horse only ran once in the turf, and that was back in September. It also hasn't run since late October, so 9-month layoff. Gets a trainer switch to Christophe Clement. Was in a very good barn before, to be fair.
Yes.
But first time on the turf, broke about 3/4 of a length slow. Just kind of lost his position a little bit in that race. And I just thought he was never in position to get it done. Not a bad field. Thought he was an interesting horse.
No, he's a very interesting horse. Listen, he was my 5th horse. I'm 2, 5, 7, 11 here. But you look inside the 9 and you think, okay, this horse was a 2-year-old in the Catalano barn. Now Clement barn's probably grown a little bit, getting played, looks well on the racetrack. He was not dismissed at the windows in both strides. And the turf effort was a full field at Churchill Downs, and he ran okay in it.
Can Joel Rosario get the 7 spring on curl into the winner's circle? 0 for 15, but as Greg said, 0 for 4 on the turf. So he's had many chances. He drops down from his last race. I can't get past his last effort. That was awful.
Yeah, it was. I ended up landing here tepidly because I'm hoping that Joel fits this horse perfectly. No pun intended to the other riders, but he could just finish so well, and I think this horse needs. This horse needs to be shooken up, and Joel's on a little bit of a roll right now.
We'll see if he can get it done. The 11-4 Knights goes out for Joe Sharp, and Joe's already having a good meet. Did very well at Belmont. He's a very good trainer, and the money usually shows for his horses. I don't love claiming horses from Mike Maper, his ex-boss. And for all his good numbers, he's actually an 18% trainer with a $1.78 ROI overall with claims in the turf. When he's claimed maidens in the turf, he's 0 for 7 with maiden claimers coming back and just 1 for 12 overall. So he hasn't done well with the maidens with a relatively small sample.
Yeah. Do you claim from your old boss? I thought that was very interesting, right?
I respect that.
Yeah, I respect that, too.
There's claiming race, claim anybody, they're all available.
100%. And listen, they gelded the horse, too. Maybe he had that horse in mind from, the get-go, although this horse was in the Gary Golo barn for a while. But, yeah, I mean, interesting horse. And you're right, Joe Sharp, no pun intended, very sharp.
Maggie, I need the 5 Union ranks. Give me some good news.
Well, Andy, I think it bodes well that his best race came on a turf course that had some give in it. He definitely has that kind of look to him. He's very angular and typey looking, so they tend to like a little bit of juice in the ground. And he is really sharp here, Andy. I wish that he settled down a little bit. He did get a little hot out on the racetrack, but otherwise, he looked great here for Jimmy Jerkins. We'll see what shakes out with him. But, Gabby, do you like the 0 for 15 number 7 spring on curl in here?
Ride last time.
Yes, I do. Thanks, Maggie. I do. But as kind of Andy alluded to, he is only 0 for 4 on the turf, and I think a lot of people are overlooking that. I like him for a lot of the reasons that Paul likes him for. I think Joel Rosario will fit this horse perfectly, as he is a closer, and in his last race, yes, it was not visually appealing, but I think he's actually better with a little bit more distance in the mile, and the pace held together really well last time out, so nobody improved in general, and I don't mind the fact that at least he's not cold on the tote board, Greg.
All right, Gabby, thank you very much. Continuing to load up here for our finale here on this Wednesday afternoon, and the favorite, Monet Mo Problems, career start number 10, jockey Rajiv Mirage. He asked the Lord upstairs for good weather today so he could ride 2 horses. One of them already won. This was the other one he wanted to get aboard on the turf. He got his wish. We'll see if he can finish here on the 2-horse here in this Nightcap from Saratoga. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Quality Choice has taken the outside stall here, and they're all in line. They're off. And it's Bay Hill who comes out running well. And right on the inside are Monemo Problems and Make an Entrance. And outside of them, 4 Nights up and on the pace 2 with Union Ranks going up in between horses. And then to the outside, it's Quality Choice as they make their way into the turn. So from those 2 outside positions, it's 4 Nights and Quality Choice 1-2 now. Quality Choice very wide into that turn. Monemo Problem sits back and runs along in 3rd. Make an Entrance follows 4th to the outside. Then a 3-wide run for Union Ranks, and Bay Hill is now down on the inside after an opening quarter mile of 24.33 seconds. And a break of another 2 lengths more back to Novus, and then to the outside comes Sacred Walk. At the back of the field, Spring on Curlin and Blasphemy. Up the backstretch they go, the half mile. 49.64 seconds for 4 Nights, who leads Quality Choice a length and a half. Monemo Problems 3rd on the inside of Make an Entrance, Bay Hill in behind them. And then it's Union Ranks to the outside. Novus has 6 lengths to make up. Coming under a ride down at the rail, moving into the far turn. And a break of another 2 lengths back to Sacred Walk, who's now been passed by Spring on Curlin on the outside. The trailer is Blasphemy around the far turn. 4 Nights the leader, 3/4 in 1:14 flat. 4 Nights off the turn, a 2-length lead. Monemo Problems angling to the outside in 2nd. Bay Hill is 3rd, then Novus on the inside, followed by Quality Choice and Union Ranks. It's 4 Nights, Luis Saez with a 3-length lead coming into the final 16th. From the back of the pack, Novus is rallied up into 2nd alongside of Bay Hill. They're running out of time, and they won't get to 4 Nights, who wins it by a length and a half. Novus was 2nd, Bay Hill was 3rd, Spring on Curlin 4th in 1:44.98.
Another victory for Joe Sharp on our show, and for Luis Saez. 4 Nights off the claim for the Sharp Barn, gets the job done.
11.967. This horse was in control throughout. The favorite, Monemo Problems, was closer to the pace today, had a clear shot, came up empty in the lane. Novus rallied very well, as did Bay Hill. They were in that photo, but it looked like the 9. Novus gets the completion of the exacta. Late money came in as well on the 11. 4 Nights takes care of business off the claim. First time gelding.
He was given a good ride by Luis Saez, unlike some other riders, particularly Jose Ortiz, and perhaps he was instructions under from Jimmy Jerkins to give the 5 show no speed with him. The others took back, and Luis Saez said, I'm not taking back, I'm going to lead, and he asserted his position, and that's what gave him the win. He got tired late, but he had enough left to hold off, and Joe Sharp, 2 wins today, 2 wins, Paul, on our show.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter how much rain you get. When you're able to go alone on the front end in 1:14 and 6 furlongs, Greg, you get brave and a horse that just got gelded, and Joe Sharp and Luis Saez. How about that? Claim one from your old boss and get quick dividends.
11.967. Joe Sharp says, former boss, I'll take that, claims the horse and puts him into the winner's circle. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And I mean, woof, it is radiating off of Joe here. He is caliente, Joe. 2nd win here on the card. You did pick this one up off your old boss. Now, 4 Nights, you did geld him. How much of a difference did that make?
It was night and day with him, honestly. He was really hot when we got him, and he just totally changed mentally, almost to the point that I was a little concerned because he was so quiet.
And Luis Saez heads up ride from the outside, getting to the lead.
Yeah, we've always had a good, working relationship, and we're always confident when he jumps on.
Joe, did you expect to heat up this quickly here at Saratoga this year?
You can never expect that at Saratoga, so we're very grateful.
Awesome job. Congrats in the last.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Maggie, thank you. We saw Morrison win for Joe Sharp with Luis Saez, and now 4 Nights in the Nightcap. And, yeah, he's having a tremendous meet, but a very sharp horseman.
Authoritative victory, and this guy does it year-round. 24% trainer. That's not easy to do when you're training at a high level, so good for him. And he said it best. You can never expect to have a great start to Saratoga, but it's a beautiful feeling when you do.
Novus winds up 2nd over another huge long shot in here. We've seen a lot of huge prices running 2nd today. Bay Hill just missing 2nd. It was a photo for 2nd at 21-1. Spring on Curlin winds up 4th to complete the superfecta. But 4 Nights gets the money, and as you mentioned, a lot of late money coming in on his son of More Than Ready.
Good performance, and Andy mentioned that number 9 Novus as being a very interesting contender. Had 4 Nights not fired that big shot, he would have been in the winner's circle at $14 or $15. So Novus ran very well on the drop.
So 4 Nights, career start, number 6. breaks through and gets his maiden score. We are back again, of course, tomorrow, same time, 4 to 6:30 Eastern time. And our feature on Thursday's card, that is the John Morrissey 6.5 furlongs for New York Preds on the main track. We'll take a quick look at this field, and we're going to see the old Warrior Weekend Hideaway among those lining up in this spot, Andy.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. His connections wanted to rain. He may not get the rain he wants. And I think Long Haul Bay and I Love Lulu were the top two in here. I'm not against them. But Gold for the King ran a race last time that if he runs it back, he's going to win this race. His connections may wonder if why they didn't run in the Vanderbilt, the Grade 1 on Saturday, because he was good last time.
Yeah, he was very good. And, you know, since he's turned into a 4-year-old, he's turned to a different horse. And that sometimes will happen. A lot of handicappers or a lot of wise men that have been playing this game for a long time will tell you when a horse turns 4 is when he starts hitting his peak condition. And that's exactly what's happened with this Son of Posse. He has been dynamic. The worry you got to worry is, does he regress from this?
I agree. And listen, he showed speed he had really never shown before last time, and he's not going to be a speed in this race. There are faster horses early than him, particularly I Love Lulu. But if he can run his last race, he can win this. And I have a feeling he'll be better than 3-1, guys.
Career best effort from Gold for the King by a mile, and now coming back in 3 weeks. So interesting.
Very good race every year, the John Morrison.
It's become official. 4 nights. Wins the Nightcap here at Saratoga. Survey says $7.90 for the win.
And that's something you get here in New York because of the non-breakage shaving going on. So of the many reasons, there's another to wager on races at the New York Racing Association. No 780 here, 790, 6 of 6 today. Good for $45,000. There was a $250,000 carryover going in, and the Naira Bets late pick 5 pays $862.50. And there is that late pick 5 follow along, Greg, and you can see no double-digit prices yet. A very nice payout.
So the pick 4 paid $151. The Naira Bets late pick 5, $862. The only difference in there, Come Dancing, who I believe went off favored in that first leg. So again, great value with the Naira Bets late pick 5. Coming up this weekend, 3-year-olds in action in a prep for the Travers with the Jim Dandy, including Vino Rosso back in action for trainer Todd Pletcher and Rapoli Stable.
I have to believe Mr. Rapoli is going to be bringing a huge crowd and that they will be making their way into the winner's circle. I would expect him to be a prohibitive favorite, deservedly so, coming off a good effort in the Belmont where he was beaten less than 4 lengths, freshened up. I mean, I'd have to say 3 to 5 on Vino Rosso here, 4 to 5 tops.
Definitely should be a short price in here. He'll be making his Saratoga debut. As we take a look at the lineup that we have on a sensational Saturday of action here at Saratoga. The Amsterdam 3-year-olds sprinting 6.5 furlongs. The Vanderbilt for older horses running for $350,000 in a Grade 1, and the Bowling Green at 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. That's a Grade 2. You're going to be calling another 3-year-old race this weekend. That is the Haskell Invitational, and 2-year-old champion Good Magic making his return. Been eyeing this race ever since he tackled Justify, went toe-to-toe to him on the front end, wound up 4th in the Preakness.
He's a very talented horse. He was the deserving champion last year, Greg. I would imagine he'll be a heavy favorite, and he'll make a statement as we begin the second half of the year. Last year, it was Joe Sharp and Gervin getting up by a nostril. This year, this race goes strictly through Good Magic. There's the list of probables. Golden Brown, Pat McBurney's also going to take a shot. That was a late addition just a couple of hours ago, and I can tell you this, we're less than 18 hours away from that post-position draw, which means even though I'm going to a great place, it's that sad departure out of Saratoga for me a little earlier, but that is the highlight of the meet, and I can't wait to call it.
Now we're going to look forward to that, no doubt. Let's take a quick look here at the Saratoga Showdown standings and how it played out. We had a 2-way tie at the top. Well done. Again, you could be part of this each and every day by going to NYRA.com/showdown. You're not risking any of your own money, and you're playing for real prizes. It's just comprised of the races during our show. So take a shot each and every day and get introduced on how to handicap a little bit and play the races. Hope you enjoyed our show. We're going to be back tomorrow, same time, 4 to 6:30 Eastern Time on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. For Frank Miramati, Andy Serling, Paul LaDuca, Maggie Wolfendale, and Gabby Gaudet. I'm Greg Wolf. It was Military Appreciation Day here at Saratoga. Our feature, Finley's Lucky Charm, after just missing in last year's edition of the race as the favorite. Able to get the money this time around and improve to 11 for 17 lifetime in a sensational performance we will see on Thursday.